my name is Rafa Esparza. Many of you know me as a friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, but that's not all I do in our sport. I'm a jiu-jitsu commentator, broadcaster, photographer, meme maker, analyst, writer, coach, tournament producer, and occasional athlete therapist. I know, it's weird. I've worn many hats in jiu-jitsu, but the one that I cherish the most is serving as a host. We have done some incredible things over the past 4 years on this show, but starting this Tuesday, we will roll out a brand new experience for fans of the Grappling Hour. Going forward, we will be offering 2 membership-based offerings. Tier number 1 will give our fans early access to my interviews. Tier 1 members will have the ability to see my interviews a month before they're released to the general public. And as a topical show that has a track record of being the first destination for some of the biggest names in our sport, you won't want to miss out on those. Members of this tier will also have access to audio versions of this show in the event that they don't want to see my face, which I totally get. Each month, subscribers will get to see 4-hour-long interviews. Tier 2 members will not only have early access to my interviews, but they will also get to see brand new content that will not be available anywhere else. New premium content includes bi-weekly podcast minisodes. These episodes are designed for the grappling superfans who want in-depth discussions with our guests on topics ranging from greatest losses to opponents that competitors respected the most. Topics will be explored for limited runs, anywhere between 4 to 10 weeks, and will give the featured guests on each episode an opportunity to share the type of unique insight that either gets lost or overlooked in most other interviews. Drill Sessions, a monthly segment where friends and guests of the show will share short videos of the techniques and sequences they're currently drilling in their gyms. Swept under the mat, never before seen behind the scenes footage from the Grappling Hour archives, and short videos and vlogs from the coverage that I do at various MMA and grappling live events. Members will also be treated to show bloopers and occasional clips of my own training sessions. There's also going to be a live chat dedicated to members of this tier that will answer questions ranging from just about anything you guys want to throw at me. And finally, members of this tier will also have the ability to pitch mini-sode episodes and occasionally submit questions for upcoming guests. To become a member, head on over to hi.page/grappling hour. You can also find the link for that page in the description below. Now listen, I know there are a lot of you who may not be able to afford these subscription tiers. That's why it's important to me to still offer some content for those people who want to support the show, but may not have the means to do so financially. So for you, we're still going to offer a condensed weekly version of the show. That show will give you the first 10 minutes of my interviews, and a month after that episode is released to our early access and premium subscribers, they will be unlocked on our YouTube page. In return, all that I ask is that you subscribe to us here on our YouTube page and that you continue to like and share the content that you enjoy on our page. I know money is tight for everybody right now. The last thing you want to do is thinking about having to invest in another subscription-based service. But I hope that you see the value in the types of interviews that I do. I hope you see the consistency of my coverage over the past 10 years, and I hope you see the overall vision that I have for this show. I have never been short on ambition. And for the next phase of this show, I'm taking a pretty big swing. So with that, I'm going to need some support. I hope that you'll come with us and help us become an even bigger and better show. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for even watching all the way to right now, even if you do nothing. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats. What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you finals live. Rafa Esparza, you folks, I'm stoked to see you guys. We are going to be covering this. They are giving epileptic seizure lighting to those in attendance in New Jersey, in whatever showroom we're at. We're seeing shadows And that's really it. That's all they're showing right now. So I'm excited to have you guys. We are about to have a full house coming in momentarily. We have two of our correspondents already in the room. We're going to bring them on shortly, but I want to remind you guys, if this is your first time seeing this show, do us a solid, give us a like and a subscribe. And you can always go support us over at hi.page/grappling hour. You can become members of our program and you can basically support this show. So it always means a lot. I guess what I have to say for you guys is this. We have some guests. Let's pull them in. Let's ask them for their expertise. Let's ask them to give us their incredible insight into this world, but more specifically, ADCC. Returning first, of course, Brian Peterson. Brian, how are you doing, sir?
How's it going? I'm excited. We got some bangers that we just came out of the semis and the constellations, and I'm really excited for some of these fights coming up.
And of course, good to see you, sir. I want to give a shout out to our also returning guest, Senor Chris, aka Chris Bagley. How are you doing, sir?
Ready to throw some recaps for those third place matches out there as well.
Absolutely. It's good to see you, my man. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of a footage of all of us coming up in just a second, but I'm going to start with this. Chris, what were you most excited? Like, what third place got you the most hype, sir?
I mean, we had Ethan and Keith going at it at 66. We had a nice match there. Ethan was able to get to Keith's back. Keith was very smart. When he got past there and almost got his back taken, he went to mount before the points came in, so he didn't give up any points until the very end. Ethan was able to transition to the back. We had Taza versus Keychuck. Was a very good, close match. Taza wound up taking the match, I believe, in overtime 2-0. And we also saw at 88, we had J-Rod and William Tackett. William Tackett immediately pulled in on a leg on J-Rod and tapped him with an outside heel hook. I think it may have been the same leg that couched belly down ankle lock. They looked like he was a little banged up and tapped his immediately when Tackett went for that heel hook. Other than that, we had Devontae Johnson and Hansen winning with the big boys by points. Both pretty much dominated their matches. And for the women, we had Ung, Delgado, and Foster also taking some points wins as well.
I think you mentioned the big boys. Right now, we're seeing action. I'm going to go on over. Brian, what are you seeing on your side in terms of the action going on right now, sir?
It's just Big Dan is just on top like a bear found some honey. He's really going and attacking the half guard of David Ramos right now. And you know, we mentioned earlier that maybe Big Dan, like when you see him by himself, he kind of looks like a normal proportioned dude. But then when you see him on top of somebody, you're like, oh my God, it needs to stop. Somebody get this man.
Oh, Ramos in on an arm there for a second.
Yeah, it looks like we're going down the legs. And I don't think, I don't know who that really favors here. I know Big Dan training out in New Wave is going to be pretty familiar with all of this.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Sorry. Go ahead, man.
I'm just thinking, I remember seeing this match in the finals of West Coast Trials, I believe, last time out. And I think we haven't seen too much of Ramos since then, but a lot of Dan. I think Dan's gotten a lot better since then. I expect him to take this one home this time.
I think so. Also joining us again, Sarah, it is good to see you. Sarah, give me a second here. I'm going to pull you up in just a moment. But I wanted to get an idea, Sarah. What have you enjoyed so far in what we have been seeing thus far on the third place matches? I know we're getting into the finals round, but what impressed you the most during those third runs?
Still, there's so much tenacity still. They're on like their third match of the day now, yeah, and they're still absolutely scrambling. And then Mo Black, who's going to be in the final, she's done so well. She has incredible pressure. She's very fast, beautiful wrestling. So I'm really excited to see the final between her and Helena.
I was actually oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to do it like this. Yeah, so for the semifinals, it was Helena and Aslan. So she got her with a footlock, a nice one. And then Mo Black and Delgado went to points. But then for the third place, it was Aslan versus Delgado, which Delgado won on point again, too. So there wasn't anything like super exciting that happened. They're all kind of like pace matches, but Mo Black has been looking really good out there.
I agree. I mean,
Mo during that match was getting those front headlocks and just like throwing her over the back.
Yeah.
It was brutal. I was like, gee, and then you get to the end of it and it has to go into overtime, and I'm like, oh my God, she was mauling her, and there's still no points here.
Yeah, it was really nice. I've never heard of her before today, so I looked her up. So yeah, I'm excited to see how she does in the final. I like to see that negative 6 to under 55 too. I don't know if you guys know that like Enrique and Faye are like wife and wife. So I think that's probably the first time we've ever seen spouses fight each other on the ADCC trials.
Yeah. And Enriquez snatched that arm and guillotine off of like just a quick shot, popped it, mount, and it was done.
Watching her get her guillotine literally makes me want to go home and practice my guillotines because she has just made them look so fucking deadly today.
Big facts about that. And I mean, it's so funny that you mentioned that because it didn't process in my brain because I'm like, I see them together, but like my brain had this moment of like competitors, this. So I was like, oh, right. I totally forgot that. Like, that's how long of a day it's been where you're like, oh my God, I totally would have forgot about that.
We have Big Dan here.
Getting ready.
And I'm so sorry, Chris, you were mentioning Big Dan is looking for that head and arm, correct?
Yeah, he's passing, looking for the head and arm, but you also got to watch out when he gets to mount for that mother's milk, as they call it.
Yes.
Well, and this, I'd mess around with the body lock quite a bit. This is not a guy that you want body locking you.
Oh no, it's not fun. That's definitely not fun on the ribs.
Just over time, you can start off fighting it as much as you want, but just going to wear on you. And then with the options to move to the head and arm and to kind of pummel your legs, like Gordon does all the time, it just makes it such a, dangerous position. And looks like he's going to get to the mount here.
Dan's doing a fantastic job of controlling the upper body and switching his hips to beat that half guard position, quarter guard position, and keeps getting back to mount and keeps passing. I'd honestly look for him to hit the smother over the head and arm. He goes to that so often that I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. And he's just racking up points here, allowing back to half guard, passing again.
I do wonder if Dan does it.
Oh,
he does get the submission.
Mother's milk coming. He got the tap, smother choke. That was coming.
God, you hate to see it.
You really do.
It's just brutal.
Try being under Gordon as a blue belt back 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That
just goes to show this. When you abuse your training partners, this is what happens to them.
I want to point this out. So did anybody else get the same perspective, which was right now you're looking at people seated in the audience. And I guess it begs the question, could we not have done that from the beginning? Because we see people seated now, but I think it's with the built-in of like, no, we can't have people seated because people would go off the mats. And if they go off the mats, they should be allowed to go off the mats. So it's for their own safety. And you think to yourself, they had to kick everybody out to build up the presentation just so that they could have seats.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little much. I mean, at least they're putting on kind of more. They've been running on time. I'll give them that. Like it wasn't the same debacle as last year. It's a lot nicer. And just to throw it back a second ago. No, when I said being under Gordon, getting smother tapped 6 years ago, I meant me, not Dan.
Oh no! I know what you're saying. I understand.
I think he thought I meant Dan though.
No.
Yeah.
We just had somebody in the comment section who was also asking for clarification. We have a question here that said, when are the finals? Christian now. The Daily Stack was saying, how many smothers is that for him now? That's a great question. Can anybody answer that? Did he have more than 2 or 3 at this point?
Yeah, 100%. He gets them at least once every open, at least, if not twice. I've seen him do it on he did it at the last trials, I believe. Yeah, he has at least like 7 or 8 minimum.
7 or 8? Jesus Christ, dude.
And that's low ball.
We can all agree.
Too many. Yeah, it's very sad because those are the moments whenever I'm teaching a class that I teach my kids. Oh, I mean, it's low percentage, except for some instances where it's very high percentage. At our
So
most
if he has
prestigious
7
thing.
or 8, how many Horcruxes does that give him?
It's a great question. The
Is that how that
Horcruxes.
works?
And it says he was at 17 in Chicago. So we're keeping a running tally from different events. I thought we were just talking about this particular one. He keeps count. Oh, God.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
All right. Well,
at this event, I don't know if he had any.
You know what? He'll know if that's to believe from the comment section. So, yes, we do see people seated. That is good. We get the world's most affordable LED screen in the back. So I'm very happy that they have some production in there. But I want to say this. Alex has definitely been on my radar for a bit. I love this guy. I enjoy his matches. I enjoy his clash. I'm super stoked he's in a final. Does anybody, though, want to take him over Paul in this group?
No, I can't do it. I'm not really familiar with him, to be honest. And Paul's always looked so good at trials. I got to give it to Paul. He's an experienced veteran here, too.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, that's probably the smartest choice. So I have to, full disclosure here. I mean, I'm probably going to interview whoever wins here. So I can't really take a side. I love when people in the comments are like, who do you got? And I'm like, whoever appears on my show. I don't really care. Like, it's good, dude. But in this particular case, I like it. And you mentioned something, Chris, which is that Paul has this experience that does come in handy and in play in this. I think the way that I see it from my perspective is Paul plays a very smart ADCC game. And I think that is problematic for people whenever they have somebody who strategizes that well. So I'm very excited to see what Alex makes of this. I'd also like to point this out, and don't avert your eyes. But if you guys are looking at the screen right now, look how crooked the lines are for the mats. Does that bother anybody else, or is it just my OCD?
Doesn't bother me, but I'm sure it's not the safest thing.
I saw ADCC getting in a fight with somebody in their comments yesterday about the tape on the match. I thought that was funny.
Well, it's something that you're really not even – it's just the clear tape, but when you got all the light shining down on it, it's like all you can see.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, dude, we want our people to be safe, so obviously you want the mats to be secure, and I guess that is a way of doing it, especially when you have to travel the mats. The problem for me is whenever I see it, it's such a glaring issue when you look at it from a crane perspective and you go, huh? Like, it looked like a person was trying to draw a straight line and failed a sobriety test, and they're just like, nope. Zigzag. And we're off to the races very quickly.
Oh, another thing to say just real quick about Ardila, it's just that finals, he also has experience in finals, and the rule set's a little different for finals as well. So just throwing that out there.
If you wouldn't mind expanding upon that, just so that we can reinstate this for people. I know time is of the essence. So what are the rules that kind of change for that, sir?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I think it's a little silly of a rule. They just want to you can't sit guard in the finals, or else you get a negative, even though there's no points. You can't sit guard at any point, which you can do throughout the rest of the matches. So it kind of just forces people to wrestle or allow themselves to be taken down, which I think Paul just did. And I just think it's silly. Just leave the rules the same. There's no need to – it's jiu-jitsu. It's not wrestling. It's not catch wrestling. You could say it's a grappling. It's its own thing all you want. But the fact is that 90% of the people, if not probably like 99% of the people competing are jiu-jitsu athletes. So just let people pull guard. I don't want to watch two jiu-jitsu guys wrestle for 8 minutes either, to be honest.
I think there's something pretty great about something in the wrestling where it looks like one person is doing an assisted backflip who changes his mind is how that one looked. He was like, oh, I got you. I'm going to support. No, you're not going to do. Okay, great.
Yeah. Paul let him take him down. It was very clear.
As he should. I see a note here from Moises Philippe who says, link to watch. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. I'm not giving you one, but I will give you some play-by-play to make sure you are updated as to what's going on. That's why I've assembled a panel here. So I appreciate this. But I got a very funny note off air. I will say this. When you guys are watching this, though, do you get a sense of, like, in your brain, wait, why are they so dark? I guess that's the other thing. On my screen, I know maybe my screen is not super color coordinated, but this looks incredibly lit, very lit. Is it also dark on your guys' screens?
A little bit, yeah. I don't think they re-up the lights.
Well, it's darker than the last match. I wonder if it's the crane cam too, because I think the last one we were looking at it from a different angle.
Just sorry, I'm making sure that I'm looking at it because I have two screens on it going on. One is lighter, but it's an older technology, and the older technology TV actually looks better. So I think it's because it's set to an old style, which is more akin to their cameras. All right, so we said on here it's pretty close. Brian, I'm going to ask, did you have any takeaways from these third place matches? And if so, were there any standouts to you?
You know, the third place ones, I felt like, there's a couple wars with, Taza and Ethan. Those were really like back and forth, like really fighting tooth and nail. But I felt like a lot of them, were a little more one-sided. But I really thought that the semis were banging. I felt like a lot of those, people were really out for blood and just fighting as hard as they can. And especially, I noticed that a lot of the women's matches, people were coming to play. They were like not accepting, being on the wrong side of dominant positions, or being caught in potential submissions, really going after it, and fighting their way out.
Sub.
Yep.
Oh, there it is.
Just 1 second here. Let's go ahead and bring back the full panel for this. Yes, Paul Ardila is able to get it done. He does get the heel hook finish, and I mean, very, very well done on his part. That was very interesting to see.
Yeah, it looked like he got in on the outside, spun the leg, and was able to get the inside heel hook.
And I have to say, I thought part of the strategy that was being utilized. Oh, hold on. They just started rewinding. I thought part of the strategy from Alex when he was triangling his legs, I think he felt it could be safe in that opportunity. I said, he might have something here, at least to keep him safe. And even then, that did not last the entire time. So yikes. Okay. Well, don't get into a leg entanglement with Paul Ardila. Let's just make sure.
Yeah, you're kind of immobilizing yourself there when you're crossing your legs at that position. You kind of want to just try your best to continue looking to spin out. You don't really want to immobilize yourself because it's just a matter of time before they separate legs.
I think that's the only thing is you do see when people get stuck in that position, but if they don't do that and they don't move, that heel is so exposed, they're already going to get caught with it. So you may be delaying the inevitable, but I thought in that particular case, I was like, well, maybe he's going to make at least a move and it keeps him safe for a half second longer. But it turned out it was literally a half second longer.
Yeah, it's not really like the safest.
Oh, I was going to say, I think it's partly like a tempo thing as well. If you can like stall that attack for a second or a couple seconds, and then you decide, oh, now I'm blitzing out, you get that first move. It can pay off, but against someone who has really good control, they're just going to be sitting there waiting for you.
Yeah, and there's a guy like Ardila and guys who are really high level, and they look, once you get in that position, you're kind of like putting yourself in a very stagnant position, and once you get your legs unlocked or you unlock the legs, it's hard to explode out, whereas when they're looking to spin on top, you might have a better chance of exploding out, freeing your knee line, whereas you're kind of like giving them your knee line and giving them opportunity to control the leg a little more when you lock the legs up there.
Yep.
I mean, I'm going to play a game with you guys, and I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are because this was the talk of the town this week. But if you're playing the acai or not acai game on some of these guys, of the people who are left, if you had to give me a percentage, how many percentage of the people do you think are on gear in these finals?
Just who's left. Let's see.
I don't know. We got rid of the big boys already, so I don't know if that really changes the percentage too much. But
I'm gonna take a look through all the brackets just to get a feel for who I think. I already think there was one that possibly might be and used to be. Probably at least one. Yeah, I want to say over 50, at least 50%.
50%.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can't disagree with you. I'm just noticing from the people who are left on the finals brackets, I feel like there's less than I would have assumed in terms of who I would at least expect to be on the acai.
I mean, yeah, I would say 50% of, but just including all finals, 50% feels pretty fair. Maybe a little under. I don't know if any of the women are. I don't think so. Maybe Jasmine Rocha.
I do think that the natty athletes had a good showing today, considering like all over. Like they're more natural guys made it through to the finals than I was expecting, which was good to see.
So if
do we know
Couch
for a
is in the
fact?
finals, well, I was gonna say if Couch is in the finals, do we count Mountain Dew as performance enhancing, or
Mountain Dew is 100% a performance enhancer in the way that dude.
Then he's juiced as much as he can possibly be.
Well,
I guess I'm gonna say 0%.
On juice, but you can definitely tell who's not on juice. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I will say,
fair.
Sarah, somebody who has competed, I know that you have competed at a high level with a number of these people. I know that you have had that moment, I'm sure, where you are grappling with somebody, and maybe when you get that first collar tie, you're like, okay, that's fine. No. Use what you need to use.
Bro, rolling with Wagner is like, you're just like, what are you touching me with? The dude's got like baseball mitts for hands, and it just like starts clubbing your head, and it's like, I didn't think you could do that.
I want to point this out. So I know I was asking this, but I wanted to point out something here because I wanted to get the panel's thoughts on it. But when I put this photo in here, I do have questions for one of you, and I want to see which one of you gets the most nervous first, because you may not know who it is. But given our last topic, I want to see if anybody here has a statement about the following while we watch Amanda Leve, very likely, yes, and get the finish with a rear naked choke. Congratulations.
Nice. Yep.
Well, here's the good news. 2 of the people who have won out of the 3 are people that I interviewed for winning this tournament previously. So I guess it should be easy to book them back up on that side. But as I said, I was previewing who has a statement on the following photo. I'll let any one of you speak when you see it in 3, 2, 1. Now, I ask you, is the person in this photo currently on any acai? Because this is one of the rare photos that you see of somebody getting a ab shot with the rash guard still on, but letting you guys know, like, no, we're at the gym and we're working out. So does anybody have a statement? I guess randomly, we'll just start with Brian.
Oh, weird. Okay. I mean, this is a strapping young gentleman, from what I can tell. I think he's just a guy who's got nothing to prove. He just, wants to put it all out there, support his sponsors, and, just have a good time.
I want to say this is a Midwest thirst trap. And where do you get off, sir?
I think that's a great way to put it.
All right. Let me go ahead and do this.
I think we can all agree that he's way too ripped to be natural. I think we can all agree on that.
You know what? Thank you. Sarah, I didn't want to be the one bold enough to say that, but I'm glad that you are able to say it. So what I would like to do right now is we have a friend joining us in studio, so I'm actually going to pull him in over here. He is here. I would like to say it like this. I would like to say he's the reason I'm better at wrestling, but he's the reason I'm not worse at wrestling. Let's say this. He is a friend of the show. His name is Mason. He coaches here at the gym, and he has wrestled at a very high level. But here's the thing, guys. I believe this is Mason, and say hello. This is you right here. Everybody's in there, but you can kind of see off that way.
Yeah.
Mason, I have to ask this. Have you watched an ADCC trials level before by any chance?
No, not the full thing, no. I've seen like clips and stuff.
Okay, so you've seen clips, but you have not seen an actual tournament yet.
Nope.
Okay, to our panel, I'll start over with you, Chris. What is the best thing that you can advise for him as to what he's about to see that is left here on the show?
In the finals?
Yep.
You might see some bad wrestling because you'll probably, if you're a wrestler, you're definitely going to think it's bad wrestling because it's a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys trying to wrestle each other, and hopefully you'll see some cool submissions.
Give me 1 second here. We're actually fixing up.
You're going to see some shiny tape and trick screens.
Those. Oh, give me
Is
1
Mike-
second. I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick.
There
I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and narrate what you're seeing while I make sure we get him headphones that are operational. So give me just 1 second. Chris, if you could do us a solid and narrate what is happening on the screen.
All right, seeing a bunch of shining lights. That's about all I'm seeing right now. Not much
And
going
so
on
much
here. Just a bunch of lights.
Yeah, I think we're running into the under 65 kilogram match up next. I think Mo just came out, so we're waiting on Helena.
Oh, very nice. This should be interesting. I think
I'm excited.
I think I got to favor Helena here just because I've seen a lot more of her. She's been competing a lot at the Opens as well. Pretty much wins everyone she does. So
Definitely seems
Gonna
like
have
she
to
has a
favor
size
her.
advantage in this one too.
Yeah, I think
she's,
she's really been focused on this type of fight. Focused on this rule set, training for ADCC. I know Mo trains out in Colorado Springs at Tabula Rasa, and they got a pretty killer crew out there. And she's been a dangerous competitor for a long time. But I think Helena has a little bit of an edge here.
So my
yeah,
apologies,
Helena
Chris.
looks pretty. Yeah,
Chris, I want to come back to you real quick because you were giving advice to Mason. Mason, that one is Chris. You've
What's up,
been
dude?
in the sport for a long time, but I want to ask you, what was the advice you were giving him in terms of what he should prepare his eyes for what we are
Okay.
seeing here at Grappling
Right.
for our trials?
Just due to the rule set, you may see some bad wrestling that you do not consider good wrestling because it is two jiu-jitsu guys wrestling each other. Unfortunately, in the finals, they're kind of forced to wrestle sometimes. And hopefully you'll see some good submissions. I think we'll get one here in this match, and hopefully we'll see a lot of fun scrambles, good submissions, good jiu-jitsu.
Now, having said that, Brian is this gentleman over here, the Iowa thirst trap, if you would. Brian, what what are the positives he might see from today?
She's pulling the Gordon Ryan here, shoving her leg up to her.
Some of the good things, bad wrestling, but good scrambles. I think, especially in the finals, people don't want to go out to just anything. So if they throw a submission on, you're going to see people fight tooth and nail to get out of it. And if you're lucky, you might see a good 10th Planet or Eddie Bravo podcast ad. Those are also pretty frequent.
And Sarah, if you
she
wouldn't,
took the penalty.
yeah, Sarah, do you mind explaining? She took a penalty, and what exactly does that entail?
So Helena always pulls guard, so she just sits right at the beginning of the matches. So I was interested in seeing how this is the Mo Black girl is the one who has a good wrestling. So if you sit guard, you get a penalty. So pretty much if there's no points on the board, then you'll lose the match. So now Helena has to make something happen, or else when the match ends, even if it's 0-0, she'll have the negative points, and then she'll lose.
Gotcha. So she's got to be real confident in her ability to get a submission.
Yeah, or a
Yeah,
sweep.
absolutely.
Or
Or
score
something,
points.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, and
Yep.
she is one of the Danaher crew.
Oh, okay.
So she has been like a protege of John Danaher, and she's been very consistent throughout this tournament. So a lot of people would have put her as actually the favorite on this, but we've seen some interesting things going on this tournament.
She's a 16-year-old blue belt.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
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 Because you have to medal at ADCC before you get promoted over there.
Pretty much.
That's
It's so ridiculous. It's nonsense, to be
It sort of
honest.
skews the belt system. huh?
The disrespect when
called-
they gave Nicky Rod that purple belt on the podium. They're like, yeah, you're a pretty good kid.
I mean, I'll put it to you
It's-
this way: if you see Mason rolling with some of our upper belts, we might get accused of the same thing here. So I'm gonna plead the fifth on part of my stuff. What I want to say this though is Mason, what do you expect? Because I know we've talked a little bit about what you can expect when you see grappling or trials. This is like our entry into our Olympics. So what are your expectations of what you're about to see here?
Yeah, I'm about to see some really good scrambling and setups to submissions that I probably haven't seen before. Yeah, I'm excited to see like the high level execution because I'm pretty familiar like overall just watching a lot of wrestling, like the takedowns, and then obviously the guard passing and all that stuff is I tend to work a lot, but like these positions here are a little less I'm a little less familiar with.
Yeah, it takes a minute to get used to being like, shouldn't we getting back up? And what are we trying to do here? And I mean, if you're a specialist in this area, you kind of take that. And it's interesting because, again, Chris, give me some backup here. The final rules are a little bit different in the sense that it's usually a 50-50 split. For half the time, it's no points. It's a sub-only kind of rule set. But in this particular one, that's why we have that guard pool, that negative point that gets taken there. But Chris, what is the difference between finals and this, if you wouldn't mind reminding us?
Well, I believe finals, it's still the 50-50 split of no points and then point, but you're just not allowed to sit guard throughout the whole match or else you get a negative. So a lot of times you'll see people opting to give their leg to get taken down so they don't get any points scored against them and they get to play guard in the first half because it's just a silly rule that honestly makes no sense, and people are starting to become game to it where they'll either not go for the takedown in the first half if they're given it, or they'll just let themselves be taken down because there's no points and they don't get a negative and they get to play guard. So it's a little silly.
Now, hold on. Did you guys notice the like? Yeah,
What was that? Yeah.
Yeah, the referee was basically going up like he was a waiter. Like, hold on, hey, I'm sorry to bug. There's a fly in your suit. Like, legitimately, normally when the ref touches your back, we're supposed to stop all action.
Oh yeah, that was weird. Oh,
he's telling her to go to the finish.
Or sometimes it's because they're telling you to like that you're stalling and they're going to give you a penalty for not like picking up the pace. But I feel like they have a good pace going.
Yeah, but you know what? You don't touch them still because normally if you get the touch, that means you've got to stop. So that's what's throwing me off here.
Yeah. She'll get a second penalty. I wonder if she's going to sit again.
I think she would do well to sit, except the one issue is that time may work against her. I mean, 2:42. That's a little bit of time that works into Black's advantage, which, by the way, we did get a note over on YouTube, and it just said, "Let's go Mo, Colorado Springs." So we have people just yelling out the equivalent of area codes at this point.
I'm from there.
I recognize that region.
Oh, let's go.
So
Yeah, all right.
Are getting to this. I mean, here's the nice part. If Mason is seeing this, he kind of understands why some of our jiu-jitsu guys wrestle the way that we do. So it kind of gives him some context in terms of how we've brought people into his class. And I'm like, well, we're going to work around some of these things. They aren't used to this world. But what I want to point out is this. Okay, this is the question I had for you, Mason. For your trials, for your important shit, is this the same level of camera quality?
Oh, is that a takedown?
Yeah, that's a takedown.
That's pretty
Helena
big.
needs a submission,
Short
most
time.
likely.
I wonder why she didn't get points for that. Oh, she did. Yeah. Okay.
She did. But
yep, she did.
They took him away. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They made a
always
mistake. They
take
gave her
them a
3.
while.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they'll end up taking them away, I think, in a moment is what we got here. But they switched it over to 2 points on ours.
Oh, we're not on arm.
So now if she's going to isolate and attack that arm, you're going to see there's a omoplata attack, but she's going to rearrange it here shortly. I think she might
I don't think it's any good. I think she's going to get out. Yeah.
I think you're right, but I think if she's able to at least pull it into a guard, that might potentially, open guard from here. And she's pushing her back in and kind of working from this. So short on time with just 54 seconds left to go.
She doesn't have enough time to pull this off. I think
she's going to make sure to play it very safely at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Black's looking like she's looking to engage here. I kind of was expecting her to stay on the outside, move around a little bit. She's engaging the guard. She's not scared.
But
She's
I
not
think
scared.
It's the back tap for you.
Why are they tapping her though? I don't understand that.
you know
And that's like the head ref. That's the head ref too. It's strange.
I think
That's the one who I lost a ref decision to last time I was out there. So every time I see his face on these matches, I'm like, you.
I think there was really a lot of interesting ref quirks. Like, some people here, they may be familiar with this, but yesterday a ref was literally all invading a dude's space. So, like, they would go out to compete, and he was just like, hey, man,
oh, what an upset.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really fucking weird. And, like, I couldn't stop looking at it because as close as I just did that, it was closer than
During
that.
the
Like,
match?
like right before and after the matches.
Oh, weird.
So, anyways, I guess we could say this to our friends from Colorado. Colorado, stand up. Oh, Heist is saying she was one of my coaches. Oh, no, now I feel like a dick. Hey, listen, I'm glad that is the case. Big congratulations to her. She played an excellent game. And I think, you know what? That's a thing that I would say. She would have been the underdog in that respect. But it's kind of fun. I think a lot of that was hype for the new wave young protege, but man, it is dope to see, and I'm very excited, and we will put out an invitation for her to come on the show. So I'm very, very happy to see that come up. So coming up next, you get the female negative 55 kg championship. Sarah, what can we preview for my friend Mason? What do you feel like he should know about the negative 55 division? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's not, I'm just making sure that's not Brian's category, right?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was. Oh, I'm not going to hand it over. I'm sorry, Sarah. Brian, what can Mason expect from the negative 55 category?
I think this is going to be a really good match. We got Jasmine Rocha, who has been out here just attacking people like crazy, hitting a couple dope leg locks earlier, and then I think in her last match she, I don't remember if it was the last one or the one before, but she pulled right basically into a triangle and hit a nasty armbar off it. So she's really coming out with these really fast attacks. And then we have Enriquez on the other side, and all I've seen from her this whole tournament is just dominant position, and she'll hunt those guillotines, get to your back, rear naked choke. So I think it's going to be a really good matchup. I think it's going to favor Enriquez a little bit here. I think if she, plays this really tactically, she'll be at an advantage if she doesn't get tripped up by Jasmine's like really aggressive style.
Gotcha. And it's aggressive from the back, or is it aggressive overall? Like all told, she's always going for submissions.
I pretty overall. She has been playing guard a lot this tournament, but she'll bring it wherever you want it.
That's cool.
Sarah,
I think that the longer the match goes on, I feel like it might give Jasmine more of an advantage just because she has a lot more. She uses aggression and power into her matches more, and we've seen her on like big stages with a gas tank right to the very end of the match and getting subs at the end of matches. But yeah, Enrique is definitely more of a technician, I would say.
I actually kind of disagree a little bit. I think it may favor Enriquez if it goes longer. She just smothers people and like wears on them with her passing, and I feel like she breaks people in her matches a lot of the time with her passing.
So Alex Enriquez recently actually won a United World Grappling Tournament.
Oh, cool.
So she was one of the people who qualified for that. She won that. She has a lot of experience winning. She is a Medusa champion, correct? And like all around great person. I enjoy her very much. And it's interesting because I was even giving her shit because I told her, I didn't expect you would be good at combat jiu-jitsu. Because she was one of those people when you said, hey, you can go ahead and slap now. She did it the right way where she would have this back take and find the right ways to hit someone with the back take.
Right, just getting more momentum.
And even then I was just like, oh, I see them going to being a different person now. So now I'm scared of her. So she's the shit. So we're very, very excited. I want to say this real quick, though. Sarah, you didn't tell us that you had a dog that was going to make an appearance here. And now all I want is the dog to be here. Oh, it's just all of a sudden I look down to make sure like the stream's going well and I go, okay, great. And I see the dogs there. And I was like, I would have given a name, like a lower third for the dog if I had known it. I would have written that out.
I work from home, and I swear they know when I'm on camera. Because like, if I could sit here on my computer all day, but as soon as I'm on a video chat, they're just like, "Oh, who are you talking to?"
My dogs are the exact same, and I don't know that people love barking in the middle, like high-pitched little dog yelping when I'm like in the middle of an interview. So I have to be very creative about trying to get around that. But yes, Rocha, Enriquez should be a very, very good match. And I mean, the nice part about this
and
is
here we go.
the nice part about this is for me, I just I'm looking at it, and I mean, I think we could just say we're partial. I'm partial to Alex. I would like to see her win this.
Me too. I am hoping Alex wins this too.
Having said that, if I am
She's been in the game a while. It's her turn for a big shot, I think, because she's been at the upper level for a while, winning everything, but hasn't quite got that like big shot on a big stage yet, you know. So I'd like to see her kind of get a bit more recognition for everything she's accomplished.
Yep.
There it goes again. We keep talking. That's the third time we've seen that in the final match.
Yeah, I tell you, they're just gaming the rules at this point. The rule is silly. It doesn't make any sense.
So yeah, in that case, she sort of like let the takedown happen, so she didn't get penalized because Enriquez initiated.
Mason knows this trick because someone may pull it on him continuously. I won't name names on who does this, but I just find myself, if you have a D1 wrestler, you can get better at wrestling unless you have aged out of wrestling.
Oh.
So
I have a question. Is that
yes.
Kolabate in the background? He looks like he's 200 pounds.
I don't think that's Kolabate, but
I think it is, sitting next to his dad, I think.
Wait, hold on.
In the black shirt?
Went off him.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what camera you're on.
Well, hold on. I'm off that. I want to make sure I'm still on this because I see this front headlock here by Enriquez, which makes me wonder if she's trying to cinch up another mounted guillotine. Easier said than done, but I think she's going to try and work to get through this pass.
So this is sort of a game all the time, just smothering, trying to pass.
I mean, Enriquez is
that's
able to
looking
make
tight.
that work.
Oh.
That's pretty good.
That's good. I like it. She's past the knees already. Like, this is a lot of pressure. Not so much choking yet, but like she's inside the frames, you know?
She's going to get the pass off this for sure.
Yeah. And again, even the threatening of that, like to get to that mount is worth it. Not just for positional dominance, but for the ability to wear her down. If you kind of get the idea where you're like, all right, if you've got a gas tank and I take it away from you, then I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
I will say one thing I've noticed in all of Jasmine's matches that no one else seems to be doing. Jasmine is quick to just start smothering her opponent.
Yes.
She got that triangle, and she's like working the arm, and then just like, no, I'll cup your mouth too.
Well, where do you think she got that from?
Yeah, I wonder.
Just curious, and it always begs the question where I'm like, are we teaching jiu-jitsu or is he beating up his kids? No, he's teaching them. I got it.
Is this child abuse?
Exactly. So her father is Wagner Rocha, who's a very solid competitor in our community, but like he went on a tear where that was what he was doing to people consistently. Just this back control, your wrist is kind of chicken winged out and just kind of moving your face. And when he gripped like your entire face, it just looked terrible to be in. But I will say her playing from guard actually is a little bit better for Jasmine to kind of come up with whatever strategy she wants to go up to next.
Yeah, and I think if I was Alex here, I'd be avoiding that close guard like the plague. She was doing really well, kind of setting the tempo herself when she was outside of it. But, Jasmine's pretty dangerous here.
Yeah, she looks like she's climbing up to a top lock here, too. She's at least trying to.
Yeah, I think that Alex is, as she's crawling the arms up ever so slightly, I think she kind of knows it's coming and just very slowly trying to make sure she has like an out.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that the higher they climb on there, the less mobility and movement you have. And then she opens it back up. So we're back to a little bit more of a traditional guard. There's 4:11 still to go in this match. And I do find it very fascinating that even though we've seen both of these people like run through people, like this is not one of those run through matches.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit more movement and more attacks once that we're past the 4 minutes now. Alex really got to start looking to stand up and break out. Yep. Jasmine looks for the
Yeah.
sweep.
Ooh.
And we are back to normal business where you're going to see a little bit of a passing game with an open guard here by Jasmine. And this is...
Yep, front headlock.
Yep. What a good thing to have in your back pocket if you ever feel like you're getting swept.
I want it in my back pocket.
That's what I'm saying.
I've been messing with it a lot in the last 6 months. I feel like the guillotine trap is the new Kimura trap. It's just you can't come up and wrestle without your head, and as soon as that head comes up, you just snatch it.
I think it's more so, even if you don't get it, the threat of it makes somebody kind of a little bit more off-centered of what they were expecting to get out of it. And again, Alex Enriquez is somebody who can cinch something up very, very nicely. I always preach underhooks, but it is interesting when somebody is so on their side to have that underhook, so that you're more so just kind of keeping that arm attached to you. They disengage now, going right back up to trying to pass. And it is interesting because, Jasmine does move fairly well, so it is hard to kind of pick your timing here. Enriquez sees an opportunity, tries to make it work. Now, not quite past. Just trying to circle her way on the inside. We'll try again. 2:11 on my clock. I think you guys are slightly ahead of us over on the other side of the world. But at this point, she's going to start trying to go more of a knee cut pass on that.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance we're going to see this one work its way to the overtime, and we're going to have a wrestling match.
So, Chris, give us some context on that. When you say we're seeing a wrestling match, I want to remind you of the guests that I have here in my presence. Yep. So what exactly is going to happen should we go to overtime?
Okay, so overtime, they'll reset them with, I believe, 4 minutes now that it's the finals at Trials here. And if they sit, it's a -1 still. So you got 4 minutes. You have to make a decision. Am I going to sit, take the -1 and try to do jiu-jitsu? Or am I just going to wrestle and try to score or get a decision? So there's a good chance, since there's only 4 minutes and they haven't scored on each other this whole match, that they're going to decide to wrestle each other.
Gotcha. So neither one will want to take that sitting penalty.
And if you get the thought, if you're Alex, you probably think, "Oh, that works to my advantage."
Oh,
she's close
Dude,
on the
she's
pass.
got the guillotine with the underhook. This is really dominant spot for Alex.
Yeah, she's gonna look to pass with this 100%.
Now, does she have the time to score, though? That's the interesting part. We do know that ADCC, they are very meticulous about how long they wait before awarding those points.
It's quarter guard, so Jasmine's kind of, if she feels like she's going to get past, I think she's going to turtle here to avoid giving up points and just try to fight the hooks. That's her best bet, in my opinion.
Ooh, maybe we'll get
and
a
she's got that. Yeah, she's got that near arm on the inside, so that head and arm isn't available here. This is a good. For 20 seconds left, this is where you stall it out if you're Jasmine.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go with the smother. Come on.
Yeah.
I do always love what I like to call the parting gifts that you leave. Like, if you know you're not submitting somebody, you're like, well, I'm leaving you with something. I'm going to make sure you remember this role.
Yeah, and this is where I thought it would favor Enriquez as it went on. I felt she would just put so much pressure on Jasmine where she would possibly get a pass, but it looks like we're going to have a wrestle off here. Technically, Jasmine can shoot on a takedown, hold for 3 seconds, and pull guard like she just did.
And it looks like that's exactly what she's planning on doing. Yeah.
Yep. She can do that. That is another reason why they should just allow the guard pull, to be honest. There's so many workarounds that it's like, what's the point? A lot of people go in with the game plan of using the workarounds because they don't want to wrestle or they feel like they might get out wrestled.
I think the weird part is people just always will inevitably game whatever you figure out the rule sets are. I think that's the hardest part of it. I think that's the reason why we call it a game. I think maybe, Octavio, we've been doing this wrong on trying to find a good rule set. I think what we should probably do is just change the rules every 3 years. So that way it's like, ha, you losers, you were doing this, now a whole new game.
Yeah, I just feel like that's one of the small things that's like, to me, it just doesn't make much sense. And I feel like the rules other than that are pretty solid. It's just that one thing that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I get that. So, what happens here, Chris, if nothing happens, no points in this?
I'll go to a ref's decision.
Enriquez has had way more sub attempts and control.
Yeah.
I would say like Jasmine really only had that one high guard.
Yep.
That was her only time of
And-
control in this match.
You know, by the way,
I would agree.
I want to point this out. I just remember this. So Alex was on the show maybe about a month and a half ago. 2 months ago, Jasmine was famous for going to Fionn. They had a match, and in their press conference was just like, yeah, well, you know what? I don't think she's focused because she's in a new city and she moved and she's got a new boyfriend. And everybody's like, what? Like, what did you say by any of that? And next day, Fionn is like, would they go, do you have a response to that? Fion's like, I'm going to beat her any way I want to, bitch.
We got a guillotine, yeah, and she said she only has a knee
Oh,
cut.
let's
past
go.
The knee cut past her.
Every
right.
time Enriquez has gotten the knee cut on Jasmine here, I've thought of that exact interview.
Oh, 100%. I was like, if she gets past with a knee cut, she's going to get memed out of this world.
Just like, what? You're going to pass me with like a basic knee cut? And it's just so funny. So,
And she did.
and she did. And I asked Alex about that. I was like, what are your thoughts on that? Because we got around to talking about it. And she goes, I think it's great. She goes, I like Jasmine. We're friends. I get what she was doing. And I told her, I was like, but would you ever say that? Like, were you that person? And she's like, I would. But I was glad someone did. It's just also like Fiona Beast. So she is not the one to do that with.
Yeah.
And hold up, close. I mean, I think all things considered, at the very least, Enriquez
Why do they keep touching them?
Yeah, I don't get that.
is making her case. Yeah, I think you were right. I think every time they do that, I'm going to need an explanation on that touching a little bit later.
Yeah, it's got to be a warning for passivity.
And she's actively trying to pass, though. That's weird.
Didn't
But-
Jasmine lose? Didn't Jasmine lose the last trials to a ref decision against Brianna St. Marie?
I would have to double check that,
Possibly.
but I think you are correct.
And do you have to get?
I
Yeah.
think she lost.
So,
DSM
oh
at
God,
ref decision.
Mason.
What you got to
Okay.
remember, too, is the winner of this tournament gets rewarded with the chance of winning another tournament
Yeah.
to enter the big tournament where they could win.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
So hold on.
Jesus.
Let me make sure. Mason, this is a little sexism we have, unfortunately, in our sport on this side. So the females do not have a 16-person bracket. They have an 8-person bracket.
Oh,
Okay?
I see.
We
Okay.
just barely got them a third weight division, which great. That is some progress.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, the women, when they win, do not get the automatic bid to go to the actual worlds.
Oh,
They have to come win it at West Coast. So essentially, you're winning a seed here.
Gotcha.
So while I'm super stoked for my friend and Alex winning this, I'm also now going to have to do an interview with her that's like, good first draft.
Yeah.
Yay! And then she's going to be like, yeah, thanks, dude.
She punched the ticket for the opportunity to punch the ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Jasmine
think
brings a good energy to like somebody has to be a heel to bring that extra attention to the sport, and I feel like that's like kind of the role she's playing. So love her or hate her, I do think she's bringing more eyes to like the women's side of the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, she was kind of born into that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And just because I know some people are confused, the decision does go based on the entire match and not just the overtime. We had a little conflict with that in like the 2018 East Coast trials, so we learned that the hard way.
It is a tough beast because you think in your brain, you're like, well, I had a better last 3 minutes,
Yeah,
4
you did
minutes.
it
I
better,
should win
yeah.
this. It's so weird that you're seeing them talk for this long, because in
Yeah,
I
our
know.
brains,
it's clear.
it feels
That's
pretty
clear.
Yeah, I
clear.
think it's pretty obvious.
All right, there you
But
go. Good decision.
I also
at
love
least.
the idea of pretending like it's a real big discussion. I love the
Yeah.
idea of like really trying to hard sell it. I'm being like, hey, so like, what are you guys gonna do for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, Alex won, but I mean, like, do you guys want Olive Garden? Olive Garden? Anybody? No.
Yeah, we ran into a weird situation with that decisions based on the whole match as opposed to the overtime, because I remember John had a match with Sal Guerrero at 2018 trials, and he did well and was attacking the whole regulation, and then Sal pushed the pace a little more in overtime with the wrestling. They both were attempting things, but Sal shot a little more, and they gave Sal the decision where we were like, isn't it based on the whole match? And they were like, yeah, but it just didn't make much sense. But that's kind of where we
There's
figured
some
that
bias
out.
based on like the impression they leave the ref with, probably. Huh?
Yeah, at the end of the match for sure.
Well,
in the
okay,
overtime.
and give me some clarity on this, Chris, because I like to make sure on this. I know we say referee's decision, but this is actually a judges panel that they have. And is it judges panel one that they have just in the finals and quarterfinal or semifinals? Is that a judge's preference that they have throughout? Do they have that? Because I think there's too many matches. So it's a referee's decision up until a certain point, correct?
I actually think they have judges at every mat and on each table, and it's always a judge's decision. Yep.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, because listen, homie ref does not let me think any of that would be impartial. Like the fact that the dude's way up on people, and by the way, the referee that was in that one, that is the homie ref. That was
funny
like
thing
getting
is,
up on people.
He's actually like friends with Gary, I believe. I think he was like he like trained with him, or he's like his first instructor or something. I think his name's Miguel. A lot of the refs are friends with people. I feel like the judges are a little less like, they don't really know the guys like personally as much, so that's probably a good thing. Maybe a couple, but yeah, gotcha. That's where you get a little.
Are also coaches and competitors, and so there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean the judges are too. You get some.
Yeah,
I know for a fact there's a few judges that I don't know, like that I've never met, that are from like Finland and shit. But you have some of those guys that are the newer judges, at least, that have been judges recently, are definitely like coaches and friends with people.
Gotcha.
I'm not trying to call anyone out, but I definitely could name a few, but I won't because I like them.
Yeah, I think that's the weird part. And unlike maybe some other sports, ours has a weird apprenticeship aspect of it where it's like, well, you get ranked by somebody.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a way to trace that back where it's like, well, this dude's this lineage. And you go, well, okay, yeah. So there's always like a very odd way of doing it. But I will say, for the most part, a lot of this stuff is always cut and dry. So that's why I think with the whole Alex situation, it's a pretty easy thing where it's like, she was more aggressive. So we're good.
They usually get it right. I would hope that if there's any conflict of interest, they kind of would take a step out, especially like during ADCC. If you are a coach or a friend of someone, you probably shouldn't be on that judges table for that match.
I would be honest with you guys, and I think you know me well enough to know, if I know somebody, I don't think they want me on that panel because I'm probably more harsh on them than I would be their opponent. Like anybody who's close in my circle is like, you didn't get that takedown, dude. We're going to talk about that. Like you legitimately did not.
Yeah, it's fair. You just don't want to see anything come down to where it's like, oh yeah, but that guy's like coach or friend, and he gave him the decision when it was pretty close.
Yeah. So let me point this on out to you. In this particular match, the Hillbilly Hammer, Jacob Couch, is part of the Daisy Fresh crew, and they have kind of had an upswing in popularity through Flo's documentary on them. They essentially were in the backside of a laundromat. Thus, Daisy Fresh was their kind of insignia. They have a little bit of a gimmick, but I mean, they're very endearing, sweet kids. Now they actually have a gym, but they've made stars from that element. He is going up against Elder Cruz, who has previously won this tournament as well. So Elder is a very, very decorated human being in this thing. Do you guys have a preference? I'm going to ask over this way. Brian, do you have a preference on who you think is going to win this?
I think Couch has this one. Elder's got good wrestling. Couch's wrestling is also really good. He's got leg locks. He's got a lot of head and arm submissions. I've fought Couch before, and it is not fun. I think he's just going to beat him here.
Sarah, do you have a preference on this one?
I have a preference over Couch just because I like him as an athlete and like his attitude and his sportsmanship and the way he carries himself. Not that I don't like Elder Cruz, but I just do have a preference of that. But I think it's just a matter of who is able to impose their game plan. Like if Elder Cruz seem to have like a really good fast pace through the matches, but Jacob Couch is really methodical and seems to be able to pull submissions out of anywhere.
And Chris.
Yeah, I think we saw Elder Cruz lose last year in the finals by heel hook to Paul Ardila. So, I mean, if anyone's going to heel hook him here, probably going to be Couch. But I think I'm going to favor Elder in the match. I think he's just going to be very cautious of those heel hooks and just try to play more like I'm going to try to pass, look like I'm doing more work, and just take home a decision.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I feel like, Couch basically let himself get taken down, and I would have thought he'd want to wrestle with him, because Elder in the past, when he has these like, high pressure situations, he tends to play this like really distance game. He's, super long, and he's just going to like kind of come at your head and really work this outside passing. And I think if Couch wants to get in on his head or his legs, he really wants to stop that. I mean, they're in the half guard now, but I think Couch would rather be in a different spot than this.
I would say that if you have looked at the history of it, though, Elder has had moments where he's gotten caught. And so there is a little bit of a moment where maybe he's rushed the action. A recent match with him and Lovato actually makes that very clear, where you go, oh, man, maybe he's trying to play not a more tentative game, but at least one that's more aware of somebody who's as explosive and has as many weapons as Couch. So I think that's kind of why you're seeing a little bit more of a traditional, let me see how I can pass in a more classic version. So having said that, I want to go back and ask this. Jacob Couch, how far has he previously come in a previous ADCC? Does anybody have a kind of a note about this? Because I know he's done well in this tournament format before, but I want to say he maybe got to semis before.
I think at the West Coast, he didn't. He got out pretty early, and I just happened to know that because a friend of mine like tapped him out. But I think at the West Coast, and I'm not sure if that was a fluke or not, because that guy who tapped him out didn't make it very far in this trials this time. But yeah, I think that I don't think he made it to the semifinals.
Yeah, there's something that I'm trying to remember where I was like, no, he had a pretty good tournament, and it just didn't quite finish. And
maybe
I don't know what that was.
Maybe last East Coast trials, but he's done really good at all the IBJJF stuff recently. Even since he got his black belt and stuff, he's looked good everywhere he's been.
Very cool.
Everywhere he's been since the West Coast trials, I should say.
I want to point this out. Mason, there was a little bit of a smile that happened on that last part, the covering of the mouth. Do you feel that that's a dirty move?
No, I love it. I'm going to start doing that.
Oh, God, no. This is a terrible choice.
Shut up, Raph. Shut up.
I think unfortunately, my mouth is one of my biggest weapons of anything when I'm rolling with people. So you take that away from me, it's essentially Deadpool without mouth, and it's not as funny. So, yeah, I think that's actually a very smart move. Already starting to go on the leg, and I think this has been a weakness for Elder before.
Yeah.
I think he does get the tap here.
That's it.
The Hillbilly Hammer finally taking it home. Well done for him, man.
So
Wow, he just transitioned without hesitation straight to it.
He did, and okay. What? Oh, no. I don't know where he's screaming to, but I think it's a general direction of somebody. I think this is the part when you get the tranquilizer darts and you start shooting them at him to make sure that he doesn't do anything to anybody else.
And
you
that,
think
and that was on
Couch hasn't been tranquilized before?
That was on an outside heel.
He's built up a resistance.
That was on an outside heel.
He's going into the crowd.
Oh my God, stop him.
Oh God.
Oh no, it's adorable. Shit, never mind. Just kidding.
He's really a sweetheart.
That was on a really nice setup to the outside heel hook from that K guard.
Oh man.
Yeah, he does so good from there.
Yeah. I mean, he had that close guard in the second Elder stood up. He just transitioned right to it. He knew what he wanted right away. He wouldn't let himself get taken down if he didn't want to play legs.
Also looked like he was trying to like re-attack the legs when he went down. I feel like he should have maybe tried to just escape and not keep the entanglement going.
Well, Chris, you had mentioned something about the fact that previously, why are we doing a replay of Alex? Oh, nope, there we go. Okay. They're going to be like, hey, just in case you remembered, Alex was here too. But also,
Ross, you asked about things we wanted to improve for trials next year. I think that might be one of them.
They just keep replaying the shirt takeoff.
Yeah.
Huh? It's kind of weird.
they're very into that here. I would say this though. I think it's pretty great to be like, and let's just look at this this great clip of this Asian. Oh no, damn, he's not. Is the Hillbilly Hammer Asian? No, okay, just kidding. All right, guys, just making sure. There is something kind of odd about this. This is what I wanted to point out, which is, Chris, you were mentioning that a heel hook finish was the demise of Elder Cruz at a previous tournament, and it turned out to be a very similar situation here. Were there any surprises that you had in terms of the entry? And then we're going to get to Mason's question in just a second, but in your perspective, Chris.
The entry, no, because I do know Couch likes to play a lot of close guard, and honestly, against someone like Elder, who's more going to kind of look to disengage when he's in danger, using a close guard is a very good tactic against someone like him. I was a little surprised that he got a finish on outside heel hook. Typically, those are going to be a little more lower percentage than an inside heel hook. But, I mean, Elder didn't look like he was going to be able to defend that one. It looked really tight, so good for Couch.
And conversely, I'm going to go over to you, Brian, for this one. Mason over here, I think he was trying to ask. He was like, well, what could have Elder done differently, right? Yeah. So do you have any insight on what Elder could have done differently in that perspective?
Like in that transition, when he starts to see him go to that K guard, like what should Elder have been doing?
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of people start to really, especially, you kind of get your hips high to get the torque to knock them over from K guard, or to at least bite above the knee. If you can, as they start to get those hips up, as the person on top, pressure down on the hips and really start to try to extract your leg. We've seen a lot of success with that, and a lot of the B team guys will go to that kind of stomp bolo where they'll like fall off to the side and look to take the back off of it. It all is depending on how much you can slow down that process of them going into that K guard, and then basically just focusing on extracting your legs out before they hip into it.
Got you.
I realize that I was letting him get the answer to that, but that is something I have some success with, Mason, with.
I was asking for a friend, Raph.
No, you know what it is? It's you're learning all of the wrong things. I originally was bringing you out here for an educational mission of, look at what we do. This is fun. And now it's like, hey,
sorry.
What are all those things?
Can I change my answer then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, it's smother choke.
Okay,
Hand on the mouth.
Just fuck off. It's already an annoying role with the kid as is.
Right. Is anyone familiar with this kid, Elijah Dorsey? Because I'm not. I haven't seen him really before, and I'm kind of surprised to see him in the finals.
Well, as a team, Lloyd Irvin, sometimes you see a folk just kind of emerge that you're like, oh, I haven't seen him. He's been more East Coast based for me. I'm vaguely familiar with him in passing in terms of like, okay. But no, I don't know him incredibly well. He's had an incredible run thus far in. The hard part is he's going up against Nicky Ryan. And Nicky Ryan has been on a tear. I think he really wants to make sure he assures everybody that he is going to be there. And I love the fact that his back of his rash guard reads, talk less. Yeah. Oh, shit. That actually bodes very badly for me if he wins, though.
I did look up after he got into the finals just to see, and he does have some impressive stuff. He's only 22 though, but Nicky Ryan, sometimes in tournaments people just they have that mindset where they just look untouchable. That's how Nicky Ryan's looks. I just can't see anybody disrupting this path of terror that Nicky Ryan's on today.
Yeah, Nicky's looked incredible. He's kind of made it look pretty easy throughout this whole trials, to be honest. I think this might be a tougher test for him, though. I mean, this kid Dorsey just beat Taza, and Taza's no slouch at all. So we'll see.
I feel like Nicky and Taza both have kind of the same thing where you could see how technically good they are, and sometimes they just don't win matches. And you go back, you're like, how did that happen? And, Taza is someone that, I've competed against him as well, and he's so fast and so technical. And then you'll watch him, smoke people, and he'll get to somebody, and you're like, this is a win for Taza, and then something will happen, and it just goes the other way.
I don't know if you guys are picking this up, but in the background, You've got Watson and BMAC just standing up. Like normally the commentator position is you sit down and look at the screen. So I don't know if something's screwed up where they have to watch the match action live, but part of the reason why you look at the action on the camera so that you're narrating what the audience is seeing. If you're literally standing up, it usually signals something has gone wrong.
Yeah, that's a little strange for sure. And to his point about Taza, I actually definitely agree with that. Taza does wind up sometimes just like not showing up in some of these matches where you expect him to just get an easy win and walk his way through. I don't know if we saw it today, or maybe Dorsey's just a lot better than people know he is because we haven't really seen too much of him on like a larger stage. Yeah, but we'll see Taza again. I mean, he's medaled at European, medaled here, and Taza's going to get 2 more chances. So I'm sure he's going to take one of those.
This is
for sure. And I mean, like, honestly, too, it's a lot of times it's just like a small tactical error. That's what I feel like happened in the semis, is that super close match, and then Dorsey just came out on top, got the points, and then it was like, well, that's it.
A note here from
absolutely.
A note here from Balanced Lord that said, did Nicky Ryan already have his finals match? It is actually now. So if you're just trying to keep up with the action, that match is going on right now. There are still 540 in regulation right now. And so far, there was actually a moment where it looked like he might have been passed, but Nicky very nicely reguarded very quickly. And there's a little bit of scrambling. I mean, they're recentering them as we speak. But I will say this about Dorsey. If you're watching the way he's approaching,
he's got great hips. He's really smothering.
Very, very, very solid, astute observation. I was just going to say, he literally is coming in with the no respect angle of like, fuck off, dude. I know you've been tearing it up, but who gives a shit? And I think sometimes we get lost in the mystique of, I don't know, man, it's Nicky Ryan. It's a tough match. I don't know what I'm going to do. He's basically coming in and saying, fuck that. And I think that's why he is not only survived now, but looking like he could be thriving more than most would in this situation.
Yeah, we're almost to points too, so we'll kind of see what the game plans are once the points period kicks in, if they make any adjustments.
We're definitely seeing a lot of physicality from Dorsey as well. With those shoulder checks, I could see Nicky's head just like bouncing back and forth when he's checking those shoulders and getting them off him. And you wonder, like, is that something that's going to rattle him a little bit over time?
The other thing that I think is interesting is the fact that Nicky Ryan has had injuries that he has had to come back from. Like, the kid is very young, but I feel like he's had to take time off to recuperate from a number of things. And the fact that he looks so good after all that time, it is very much a statement to see him back and looking in fine form.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Nicky came out here to kind of make a point because he just wants to prove to everyone, yeah, look, I win these trials. I earned my invite back. I'm not like just going to get one because I'm a famous guy. I think that's honestly why he showed up here. And I mean, maybe he didn't think he was going to get an invite because he lost first round last year, I believe. I know he lost to Canuto. I'm not sure if that was first or second round, but I think he just wanted to prove himself.
I thought you meant you thought he was on the juice.
How'd you get that?
He's just subtly sprinkling it in here.
I do find it very interesting that whenever we talk about people getting invites, I think that list gets shorter and shorter because now it's almost like, well, you took fourth. Yeah, you got an automatic invite. You're back in. And there's only so many of those with all the trials and all that. So I think we are more and more getting into the shape of not everybody can be Mo's best friend. And I think a lot of people do the math very quickly and go, shit, yeah, I got to kind of do this, don't I?
Yeah, there's only four invites outside of people who medaled the prior and trials. You only get 4 invites, I believe.
So I do believe that we are at that part where, it is astounding when you look at it and you think, oh, I would just assume that Nicky Ryan would be invited because he gives good matches. So as the sport continues to get bigger and bigger, it is not the assumption that makes you safe anymore. It is very much if you want to be at the dance, you kind of have to go through this very, very difficult series of tasks.
And I think that there are a few people like Gary is, I think, one of the exceptions that he doesn't really compete in jiu-jitsu, right? Like, he's doing 1FC. I know he's training, but like he really doesn't take grappling matches regularly. But you invite him back, and he starts making bangers of matches at ADCC. So it's a little bit like, all right, Gary can come back. But there are other people I feel like kind of along that same vein who don't really compete that often, and it's like, we got him back.
Yeah. I mean, Gary's grandfathered in. His match with Crone Gracie alone should be an ADCC Hall of Fame. So as much as Gary is a giant goofball and an idiot and a dear friend of the show, it's one of those things where I'm like, pains me to say it, but yeah, you got an invite anytime you want, dude. You can come back, whatever you want. Because legitimately, if you help to build the fucking building, then yeah, I want to see what you're doing. And I think to your point on Gary not having as many matches, it's hard to match him up just in terms of age. Like at a certain point, if you put him against somebody against his own same age, he's probably going to wall up most of those people, unless that wall is known as JT Torres. And yet, at the same point, I'll watch them matches forever. Like they are two of the all-time greats in our sport. So yeah, I have no issue with any of that. And you're mentioning a little bit on the past that he keeps just getting a little slightly short. Yeah. Here's the good news though.
But he's still he's taking it to him. I mean, aggression wise, this got to count for something.
I do wonder how much energy is spent trying to keep somebody and fend them off so that when you do go to the overtime, maybe if you had a shot on the wrestling and staying up with somebody, then now you're a little bit more depleted with the energy, because if you're Nicky, I do get the sense you kind of need that leg attack finish. And in order to get into that leg attack finish, which is not an assured thing, you're probably going to have to take a little bit of a deduction on this next period of overtime.
Yeah, Nicky's not necessarily known for his gas tank either, so he might be looking a little winded here already, unfortunately. And the only other way I could see him getting a finish other than a leg lock is if Dorsey shoots on him and maybe he's able to get a sprawl and take the back, because Nicky's better, in my opinion, from the back than anywhere else.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the hard part is the journey you have to take to getting to the back is usually you might be able to make it from a scramble heavy sort of situation, but he's made shorter work with people from attacking those legs. And, right now when you're starting to stand up and nobody wants to pull guard or go down that way, it's a tall task, man.
Yeah. I mean, if Dorsey shoots, he has a shot. If he sells out on a shot, Nicky has a chance of taking the back, but Nicky's looking a little gassed right now.
Dorsey's just keeping the pace up.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like he's
him out. Yeah, he's doing.
Nicky shot.
Doing a lot more.
Nicky shoots. Yeah.
And I mean, that's the nice part is you were pointing this out, Mason, especially from the wrestling perspective. That moment when you can kind of, even on your feints, like really drag somebody down and they look that gas. That's what really shows that difference between. Woof. I mean, I'll say this.
Nicky really seems is more defending than anything in regulation too, so I feel like it's kind of on him to make something happen in these overtime minutes.
Oh, 100%.
Good call. Very good.
I agree. I think Dorsey's ahead on the judges right now for sure.
Actually, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad right there. I like that. That was a little bit of a nice drag on Nicky's part.
Oh, but he does not respect his shot at all. Dorsey didn't react to that at all.
No. But that
almost got a foot sweep there. That
nice collar tie. That was the most action I've seen out of Nicky in this whole match, at least from the standing up. All right, the ref reminding them you have to fight each other as opposed to tapping him on his shoulder. Oh, almost. You should know this. I have to ask your thoughts. In wrestling, what happens if you go...
Nice shot. Oh, no, yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's pretty depleted, dude. Like, he did that shot and was like, I'm here now.
Yeah, then he just got stuck in.
I can't get back. That's too much work, dude.
Yeah.
Big shot from Dorsey.
Hold on.
Do you guys think that Craig Jones has to be
in a minute?
Oh, nice.
Oh, Nicky's in
Nice.
turtle looking to
Beautiful.
fight. He's fighting from turtle, trying to
Oh,
avoid getting
beautiful.
points scored. Still no
Yeah.
points with Nicky and turtle.
0 points, but I mean, now we're kind of
Beautiful.
looking at the decision.
Oh, yeah. He's dominating the position.
So
Yeah,
if
man.
that's the case, Dorsey's looking like he very well is on his way if he can keep the status quo.
He has a minute left, and he's looking to take Nicky's back here. If he gets he might get the back here. It's just close. Nicky's
It is
trying
a
to fight the hook.
possibility, yeah.
Oh, Nicky was able to turn out, but I mean, this has to be leaning in Dorsey's favor at this point. Even
Yeah,
at
I
that
mean,
point.
Nicky's got to make something happen here.
Yeah, and I think he might be a little too tired to make anything happen. I think Dorsey's just
And
in
he's
better
been
shape
careful.
for this long match.
And he's been rock solid, like totally careful, not letting any leg entanglements happen at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, this guy Dorsey, I think he's impressive under this rule set at least.
Well, I think the nice part about it is it's going to be an invitation for those who may not have followed him throughout the tournament to go back, look at his highlights, and get a sense of it because, we ask for some kind of surprise with so many recurring folks who have these emerging moments where they're like, oh, yeah, I know that guy was going to win. I knew he was going to win. Where's the surprise here? And it's like, well, Dorian, Dorsey. Dorsey is a little bit of a surprise. And what the fuck is this, dude? I'll tell you this much, man. I've had rolls for 6 minutes where I can't even do a cartwheel. Like this dude is with his calisthenics at the end.
Yeah, he's got a gas tank.
Putting on a show. Good for him, man. That is a very, very solid performance. So Dorsey is going to get his opportunity to go to ADCC that will be in Vegas in middle of August next year. Very excited for that. We have one more final right in front of us, and that is the negative 66K. I mean, Nicky Ryan looks a little disappointed, but understandable. While he didn't get it done in that moment, he still had a really fucking good tournament, man. Like, it was a really impressive run by Nicky Ryan.
Hey,
Yeah,
maybe
I
that's
think there's a
showing we'll get him an invite.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Oh, man, Dorsey. Oh, yeah. For keeping such a good poker face throughout the entire tournament, the actual turn into, like, actual emotion is like seeing the Terminator cry at the end of the movie. You're just kind of like, wait, I didn't oh, you had tears. I didn't know that was going to happen, bro. Okay. Good on you, man. Congrats. So this time they show Nicky Ryan and not Alex Enriquez, which is already a plus for the production team. That's a very good start to their package that they show on this one. I will ask this. Mason, when you, in wrestling, go out of bounds, let's say from the trials perspective, what happens?
Oh, well, in Greco and freestyle, it's a push-out point. If unless you're like scrambling, if you're already engaged in a position, like let's say I take a double leg or something, and the person's sprawling and we're both circling out, and like we just kind of roll out, then nothing happens. You just go back to the center standing. But a big strategy is just like push-out points, like getting someone to the edge, and then like as long as you're not like straight arm pushing them, if you like take a shot and then they step out, then it's a point. I'm
gonna show you what happened yesterday with Cody Steele. Okay. You didn't see this clip?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So here's what happened once Cody Steele suplex off the mats continues.
They're on the ground?
That's the dirty jersey carpet that they are on.
Why didn't the ref stop them?
Well, should they be stopped?
I don't know. I mean, what's
Last time I checked, there's still a ground under there.
Wait,
So-
so
We
that's
love
part of
Redbirds.
We love Rugbirds. Okay. So this is why I was
He
asking.
got the submission there?
He got the submission
And he
off the
won?
mats. And yeah,
And he
they
was completely off?
they said yeah.
Wow.
So there was a little bit of a discussion because I guess the question is, when you see that, what is your perspective? What is your thoughts? Because, I mean, it was kind of still in play, but in your rule set, if you did that, they'd say point and come back, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you think in this situation, point and come back is a fair area in jiu-jitsu,
I mean,
given
that's
what you know
kinda
about
stupid.
jiu-jitsu?
Like, what if there's like tables and stuff in the way? Like, why? I don't get.
You're going through the table, boy.
Yeah, wait, you can't grapple on a table? What do you think this is?
Yeah. If there's a knife in there, you use it. If there's a
they'll stop it in like situations like where it's getting dangerous, but they let people know like, hey, we're not gonna stop it. I like the fact that the out of bounds can't save you, but it does get a little dangerous for sure.
I mean, out of bounds can't save you from a submission. If there was no submission starting in that point, then it gets into a weird middle ground because, okay, yeah, he was suplexing him, so they're going out of bounds.
Yeah.
And they started to go out of bounds, but they clearly made it all the way out. So if you had enough time to lock on a submission, you just kind of look at that and you go, if you have time for a submission, that means you have time to reset the position in theory.
Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like there's just too many factors. Like, there's just too many. Like, why are you adding so many more random factors? Like, what if a bystander doesn't get out of the way? What if there's so many weird little factors that play into it. Why not just
this is what I think. I think we need to go the other way, and we need to get a big moat around all the mats.
Yes.
And then if you push them out, that's a ring out win.
Yeah.
That's the end of the match.
It's sumo wrestling too. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I forget who called it. I think it was Kevin that called in, and he was looking at me. He's like, "Well, Raph, obviously cages don't solve anything. This doesn't solve anything. What could solve it, Raph? And what do you think could happen?" I go, "Barbed wire." Barbed wire. If you would look at the barbed wire and be like, "I don't want to be on that. No, that's too far." I'm just saying from this perspective, I don't know other professional sports where something like that would happen. Yeah, it's like insane. In the NBA, they're like, "This ain't out. Yeah. We're still playing." And they're at concession stands, and you go like, "This seems very awkward." For us, it's just like, I mean, he wanted it.
Listen, I respect it. It's just
it's
kind of a crazy.
Don't get me wrong, Cody Steele, near and dear friend.
That's incredible.
And I don't know if you guys got the chance to know this, but Kevin Bradley, we have a friend who's actually on site, and he was giving us an on-site little note of what was happening. He calls in, and Cody Steele walks by. And then he looks over at Cody. He's like, "Yo, Raph's on the phone. Do you mind saying what's up?" He's like, "Yo, what's up, Raph? I love you." And I'm like, "Hey, don't ever do that to me, man." Like, legitimately, it was a great highlight. But I'm very sad that we roll sometimes, and that I know how powerful you are. So I'm just not even going to stand up with you. But this is an interesting match.
Did it say Carlsbad Jiu-Jitsu, like Carlsbad, California?
I don't know if it's Carlsbad. It might actually be.
Like you just went to the East Coast trials?
Oh, I mean, that's what you have to do. We have a lot of
I'm
West
pretty
Coast
sure
folks.
he is from California.
Huh.
I believe he is. The issue is more so that in order to get the invite, we have literally everybody and their mom traveling on over to try and get it. So, yeah, a little bit of this. But already,
Two chances are better than one.
So Dorian Olivarez is somebody who also has some solid wrestling in his background as well.
Yeah,
but Mejia is actually the guy who is imposing a little bit more. Dorian is all of 17 we said on the show?
What?
Yep. Mejia looks pretty young as well. I'm not sure how old he is, but looks pretty young.
Yeah, I can't carbon date. Everybody at this point is so much younger than me that I'm just kind of like, this kid. This
66
kid. Yeah. 66, yes, sir. Are you trying to
doing the math.
Do the math? It's 144, sir.
Got you.
Okay. It's all good. All of us do the math. It doesn't matter what it is. I like the fact that it was like Mason's not even competing in this rule set, and he's like, hold on. Which one am I in? I'm like, the lower one, whatever it is.
God.
So from this, did any of you guys have a feeling of who you think takes this? I think given both of their runs on this tournament, it is fairly even. I'll start over with Sarah. Sarah, did you have a perspective on who might take it?
I just loved how good Mejia looked in the last match, so I'm gonna go for him just because I really liked his performance.
Sick. Let's go with Brian.
Yeah, I saw a few highlights from Mejia earlier, and that's basically what's going to edge it out for me.
Chris?
So yeah, like they were saying, Mejia looked really good. He looks like he has the better jiu-jitsu, and he's just been more well-rounded with his submission game, while Dorian's mostly like rear naked choke wrestle. But I honestly think rear naked choke wrestle is going to get it done in this rule set, to be honest with you. I think Dorian's going to take it.
I was about to say, that's literally...
Whenever you see latch like that, you got to respect the wrestling.
Legitimately, and I think you guys understand why we're so glad whenever we get somebody like Mason who comes to our gym where, you kind of sit there and you go, these are all different skills, but when you see somebody who's got a good wrestling background, you go, oh, you're exciting. Oh, we can use that. That'd be so good if people do something like that, because, the biggest fear whenever we show these trials is always like, dude, don't look at the wrestling. Just kind of like, let's get past that pull guard. We're good. But at the very least, I feel like these two are solid representations of a pretty decent all-around game for both of these gents. And I would say this, though. I think the one thing that gives me slight pause for Olivarez, and I know that Mejia is not old at all, but I mean, Olivarez has that young kid tank in him where I don't know that he gets tired. From what I have seen in what he competes, he
Mejia in on another
goes,
deep
man.
shot. Oh, he gets a takedown.
Well done.
Nice.
Damn.
Yeah, I got to assume Mejia has a pretty solid wrestling background as well.
I mean, clearly, I just think the nice part about it is that's when these lower weight classes are like rubber bands. Like, normally a takedown like that would take me out. But a takedown like that is just like, dude, he was already back up. There was literally not even control issues. It was just, I'm back. I'm fine.
It was a pretty good slam, too.
Yeah,
think about the range that you have to be able to go from, all right, I got a takedown. Now I'm going to play inverted.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it looks like Mejia is going to just look to... Oh, he's looking for the back. It looked like he was going to concede to bottom for the point half, though. I think he just took the takedown and he's like, I'm not wrestling anymore. Let me just play guard while we get into points. So.
Yep. And as a nice little aside, Olivarez recently won the Combat Jiu-Jitsu series.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
So the kid, I think he's got wrestling as well, like we mentioned, but I think he has some MMA kind of ambitions.
Oh, okay.
And if you look at his game, I mean, it
It's
looks
aggressive, yeah, in your face.
It looks pretty translatable. Like that, those are the type of skills you would hope if somebody is fighting MMA that they do have. So far so good on his side. But
in
he's
on an
looking for
arm.
that triangle.
Oh,
then
he's
switches
in on arm.
He's got the arm now.
No way.
That
Olivarez
could be.
gets out.
He loses it though in the transition.
Yeah.
Well done.
That was cool.
We saw something really similar in Olivarez versus Ethan. Ethan got in on his arm. He was able to escape from the belly down position.
It does help when your arm is rubber. Like, again, cannot emphasize this enough. If you're under a certain weight, to me, you all are the same weight.
Man.
So usually, like anybody 150 and under, I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. You could literally tell me 120 as a dude. I'd be like, yeah, you're probably 140, and they're like, dude, I'm 120, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't know. Sorry, man. I haven't been 120 since I was 11.
I used to be in that weight class, and my body did not hold up so well.
It is. It's not desirable to try and compete when that is going on. What is happening? I think I just saw a note here. Thank you very much for that, Octavio. The note reads 750 wrestling matches. I want to 750. I'm gonna need some context on that one, Isaac. If he's as in he's competed in 750 wrestling matches, and if so,
no way.
That's insane.
Mason, that's the first red card. Mason's just like bullshit. I can't.
We have a pass.
Oh, wow.
Close to a pass, yeah. Mejia looks pretty tired here. He looks like he's trying to get to Turtle, but he might get his back taken.
He literally just rolled his eyes.
Yeah, he just shook his head.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I mean, been there.
This kid puts on
Yeah.
an insane pace.
Daily Stack said yes.
Back.
750?
750 wrestling matches. Mason,
he has
how
the
many
back.
do you think that you have? Let's try and put some context to that then.
I don't know. I've been wrestling since I was 4. And I don't know if I had like 750. I don't know.
Wow.
Like,
Mejia did a really good job.
Are you in
there
the region of
scrambling.
like 300?
I mean, like an average season, probably like 50 matches in an average season.
Okay.
So for, like 18 years. So
Wait, no, hold on. Now I'm starting to see. Hold on. I saw that note. So if we do 18 times 50, you're looking at 900.
So
Yeah.
this guy's been wrestling since he was like 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what his dad said, as per Isaac for combat jiu-jitsu. But I'll say this. I'm pretty sure even my dad would have said that I had 750 matches too, if we're being honest. Sometimes parents can be a little bit generous, but
I think his
Yeah,
dad's
was he
his
keeping track
coach.
since he was 4?
I think his dad's his wrestling coach, though, or is one of his coaches, because he always represents Team Olivarez instead of like B Team or anywhere else he
Correct.
trains.
Oh, okay.
and I think
Yeah.
now
Did he not get a pass with points,
did
or
not.
did they not count that?
No,
They did not
Mejia
count points.
scrambled out. No, the Mejia scrambled out. Technically, gave up a full pass. He's half turtled, went to
Oh,
turtle, and then sat back to guard. So technically, it's not a pass under ADCC rules.
I will say
well,
the
that's-
real win
yeah,
here,
3
oh
points
no,
on the
he does
board.
have the 3 points. They just magically
Oh, he just
awarded it
got
to
it.
him.
Yeah.
Now
Oh,
he's
he's
in.
in
Well, now he's in
North
North South. Now he actually just got the pass here. I think that's for this pass. No.
So
Oh no, we got 6.
I
now.
don't think they
I'll
would
see
have
if he gets-
awarded that originally at that point, though. That's
I'm
fucking insane.
very-
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Now I'm just confused, but okay.
Oh, that.
I have to say, from a TV perspective, that was the worst time you could have put that he had 3 points from like, hey, remember that what happened a minute and a half ago? Yeah, we gave those points now.
So
Especially when there's like 45 seconds left to go. They're like, excitement? No, just kidding. It already happened.
Yeah, well, wow.
Well done.
That kid puts on the craziest pace, I think. I've
Oh,
ever
man.
seen.
Yeah,
Is
Mejia.
that 5 matches today for them?
Those were, I believe that was what, the third?
Or for 32, that would have been 5.
Hey,
It would be the
matches?
5th. Yeah.
The fifth.
Yeah, that's
okay.
crazy to have that pace after 5 matches on a second day of
Yeah.
competing.
Wow.
Yeah, and he had
That-
some
that is-
tough
Yeah, I
guys.
mean, and-
he had
And
He had tough
66
matches,
is
too.
huge.
Oh my god.
66 was huge. I think it had oh my god, had like 250 competitors in it at the start.
Yep.
Do you guys hold on. Let's take a moment here. I don't like when people do backflips at all in combat sports. Like Justin Gagey is very good at it, but I still hate it every time I see it, especially when it's on the top of the cage.
Scary, yeah. It's so
That's the
so
shit where I go
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, he fights in a cage, so what the fuck are you gonna tell that guy? But at the same point, like, bro, I don't want you to fucking break anything after doing an excellent fight. But adrenaline junkie is gonna adrenaline junkie. When you see a kid like this do a backflip and you go, hey man, you can't break your neck. You just won a bid to fucking ADCC.
Especially when you do half of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do a belly flop, backflip.
Yeah. And the other part of me is
Yeah.
like, well, you'll notice Flo didn't replay that one. So yikes. And why do we have Ren? Is that
Is that couch?
And that's
Is he
it.
back?
Couch came back. I was trying to figure
He's
out.
not done.
He wants
He
to
put his
rip
shirt
his
back
shirt
on, but
off.
he's still got that hillbilly rage going on.
I also have to point this
He's
out.
just been jogging around the stadium for 20 minutes.
I have to point this out. I like the idea that not only did he go back out, but did he put on a different rash guard because he's done competing? So the
It's
thought
like, I still
process
gotta go.
of the sweaty rash guard that you take off should be like,
yeah, you
that's
can't
it.
put that-
We're
yeah.
done. To
Yeah.
put that back on would be dumb. But then to put on
Yeah.
another rash guard because you're not having any more
Also
matches
dumb.
just seems like a waste of laundry.
In any situation.
Yeah.
Incomprehensible.
I have so many questions, and I guess hopefully I'll be able to get some of them answered because I will be trying to reach out to him. I think it's due. It's overdue.
Absolutely.
I've meant to interview him in the previous times. I don't even know. I think I've reached out to him before. So that motherfucker better respond. Let's just double check this. I
Yeah.
want to make sure, just for context here, that I am doing this. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to ask for some final thoughts from you guys before I allow you guys to plug your various places. Oh, Jacob Couch crashing.
Yeah.
Crashing the post exit with Brandon. Nope, he's coming
No.
in.
Yep.
Nobody wants the camera more than Jacob Couch.
I mean, listen, I get that. It's just, oh, no, he's already cursed. You can tell without even hearing anything. I know he cursed because he did the, oh, shucks.
Oh, shit.
Look, Mo.
Shit, man.
Oh, dang.
I mean, I'm going to point this out. I have been on Flow Grappling. I know for sure I have cursed. And so I will tell people this. But final thoughts. I'll start with this. I'm going to go over to you, Brian, first. Who impressed you the most this weekend, sir?
They really love this shirt.
Oh man, I mean, just because we're seeing him right now, Couch had a great performance. Trials has always been tough for him. He's always been a contender, but hasn't been able to get it done. And he looked like he just walked his way through it. So he put on a really great show. And then also, Helena and Mo, I think that was a great finals match, showing two really great competitors that basically took over their whole division, met in the finals, and had a really good back and forth match. I think that was probably one of the best women's matches we've had this weekend.
Beautiful. I'm going to go on over. Sarah, who impressed you the most this weekend?
I think Alex Enriquez impressed me the most, just because you didn't really see her in any bad positions throughout the whole thing. Sometimes that's impressive. There's other people like, Mo, who fought out of some bad positions, which is also impressive in a different way. Amanda Leve, she had a great run too, but I mean, that wasn't super unexpected for her. She's always an animal. For the men, Jacob Couch looked good. Some of the people who didn't make it to the finals, like Ethan, he looked good. Nicky made it to the finals. He looked good too. And yeah, both those guys in the under 66, I like both of them. They both put on a good show throughout the whole trials and in the finals.
Very nice. Chris.
Okay, so Dorian, we just saw him. He looked super impressive. Day 2 had a lot of tough guys. He had Siraj Budram, Gianni, Emilio Hernandez, Ethan, and then the finals match. I mean, that's all of that in day 2 is insane that he was able to keep that pace. Dorsey just coming out and beating Taza and Nicky alone back to back is very impressive to me. And lastly, just wanted to shout out my boys John Calstein and Jason Rouse, subbed their ways through until they got taken out by some really tough guys that were both considered to be 2 of the top seeds in the tournament, and William Tack and Nathan Carlston. So I want to shout those guys out for awesome performances and going out there and subbing guys.
I want to point this out. I think it's time for me to pull on Rao on this show. I have not interviewed him. I realize now that I was like, I think it's time I interview that guy.
Get Jason on.
We will definitely make at least the effort. And I'm going to point this out. I'm going to tell you guys this. I definitely reached out to Jacob 2 years ago. I got left on red. So
wow.
I will say this. I think you've had enough time to think about it, Mr. Couch, because clearly you are stealing the time of the post show. So I think you would be welcome to talk, and I would love to have you on, sir. So I will be extending the invite for him to come on the show. But I like when I say it out loud. I'm like, did I? I feel like I reached out to him. No, I know I did. God, and then meanwhile, mid-broadcast, I have to figure it out because I have pressing questions. Like one, I am starting to feel that is the same rash guard. I am starting to feel very strongly that my man used the same one that he took off, which really defeats the purpose.
Look, it's a little moist.
Look, it does. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. I think you put it probably the nicest way anybody could have, especially what I had in mind for my jokes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to go and tell the people where they can find you. I'm going to go ahead and start over with you, Chris. Please plug your gyms, any sponsors, anybody that you'd like to say thank you to. This is going on that way. That's our friend Bobby, by the way. That's the homie Bobby, and I can't get mad at him for that one. Wait, was that the same rash guard? God damn it! I'm going to find out. All right, I'm going to go over to you, Chris. You go first, sir.
You can find me at my name, Chris, P-A-G-L-A-C-A on Instagram. Got really not much to plug. Go follow John and support him instead because I don't have anything to plug.
Hold on. That was a terrible plug.
Well, I don't have anything. What do you want me to do? Follow me on Instagram. I don't know.
Where John teaches at, and then maybe they can roll with you.
All right. Well, I actually just moved to Massachusetts out from Brooklyn, but John's at King's Combat in Williamsburg if you want to go train with him.
Okay. How you like in Boston?
It's cool. I'm about an hour outside of Boston. My girlfriend got into a PhD program at Boston College, so we're out here. I have some family here, so it's cool. It's definitely different, but gonna get used to it over time, and then we'll see what happens from there.
I can only imagine how much shit they're going to give you for your accent, because I can't imagine you're going to make many friends when they hear where your accent's from, and they're going to be like,
I don't feel like I have that much of an accent, to be honest with you.
You do. As somebody
A
who
lot of
does
people
impressions
don't.
and accents, I will tell you, yes, you do.
People who come like
I
from
can't hear
Massachusetts.
one.
Yeah, people come from Massachusetts. Even people from New York, they ask me, "Where are you from?" And I say New York, and they're like, "Where's the accent? Where's the Brooklyn accent?" I really don't have much of one.
If you want to believe that.
Maybe it comes out here and there, but I don't feel like I have a strong Brooklyn accent. I don't know if you've heard a strong Brooklyn accent. Hear me talk.
You're
and then hear someone
literally
like John talk.
defending Brooklyn with the most Brooklyn accent you could possibly have.
No,
What
I
do you
do
don't think I'm
not.
from Brooklyn? I'll tell you if I'm
You-
from Brooklyn. Everybody knows where I'm from.
You straight up hit him with the, hey, yo, you want to hear a Brooklyn accent, all right?
Bro, what the fuck you talking about, bro? I'll put on a real Brooklyn accent for you right now. Yeah,
about to
that's
be
a
like-
Brooklyn accent.
I was about to say, listen here, Ralph Macchio. We all know what's going on here. Thank you very much for your help. I'm going to move this on over. Sarah, please give us some information on where people can go train with you.
I live on a little island in Canada called Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, so you can come train with me at Sprawler Brawl MMA at any time. You can find me on Instagram at Swayback, and my sponsors are the Strong Neck and Grappler Soap.
Sarah, I want to thank you so much. You were so dope to volunteer when I was looking for correspondence. There's always a moment where I go, well, I hope people are good when they want to come on, and we've never had the opportunity to speak before, and you were fantastic. A great insight into all of the competitors and especially those that you've competed against. So I thank you very much for coming on this week. In time, we'll have to bring you on the show for a legit reason to actually do a straight up interview, and we will take care of that. But I cannot thank you enough for making that time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And Brian, do your thing, sir.
Yeah, guys, go ahead and find me on Instagram at Bougie Gatami. Shout out to my sponsor, Nation Athletic. Go ahead and like my my corn-fed thirst trap on my Instagram with their shorts and go buy some. And then we're out here training at Tipping Point Jiu-Jitsu out in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So if you're in the eastern Iowa area, make sure to drop by.
You're a Nation guy? I know Mark. You're a really good guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say you mentioned John Calistine, and I know he's always putting stuff out.
Yeah, I've trained with him a lot. Trained with Mark at Kings.
Nice.
Can I just point out again that you pulled the most New York way and be like, oh, you know that guy? You know that one guy? And be like, oh, we got a real Bobby.
He's the guy who owns the company.
Hey, so his mother is
He's
great.
Sponsor.
I've known his mom since I was
sponsor.
4 years old.
It's his fucking sponsor.
Yeah, no, that's totally good. I know. Again, Brian, I want to thank you for all of your help as well. You have been fantastic in what you've been doing for us, and I can't wait to unleash all of the work that you've been putting in behind the scenes. You've been a great asset to the show, and I look forward to so many more collaborations. It's always good when people have extra skills that help out the show, but it's even better when they can show off their skills. And I know that you've been doing in some work with our good folks over at Subspectrum, and I knew that you would be a great broadcaster to bring your experience and your wealth of knowledge onto the show, and I appreciate your time as well, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Chris, I appreciate you from being from New York.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
You guys are all sweethearts. I'm going to let you guys get on out of here. Thank you so much for all of your hard weekend, all of your hard work this weekend. That's how I'm tired. Yep.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you guys. Talk to you guys later. All right.
Later.
And for those of you sticking around for the end of this, Mason, you didn't get to see everything. We're going to answer a couple questions before we close on up here. But what do you feel like from what you saw? Like what was your overall perspective that you took away from the match? Wait, you don't even have to wear these anymore. You can take these off. You could. I was like, it's just me at this point. You're good. What were your takeaways from getting to see our trials and the finals from that?
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I mean, the pushing off the edge is hilarious to me. I mean, the rest, just grappling through the table and then like not stopping. I like how the refs are so lazy too. They're just like, I don't know, they're just going.
The refs,
they'll just like a tap. I don't know.
You know what it is the refs look like parents. That have just lost control of their children. They're like, you know what, I can't.
I have noticed that at jiu-jitsu tournaments, the few I've competed in, is like they'll just be like, "Hey guys, stop! Like, come back!" You know, it's kind of funny. Besides that, though, yeah, with that rule set, I feel like it really just does favor you if you're just aggressive and trying to be on top and trying to get around and pass, and it like doesn't really hurt to be like conservative when it comes to like leg entanglements and stuff. I noticed like anytime like the what was his name, Elder
Cruz,
Elder Cruz, like he had it probably would have served him if he had just tried to keep his legs out a little bit more and just gone around, kind of played more conservative with like the passing game, and just stayed kind of in that top position, because with the ref's decision at the end, if two people are pretty evenly matched, it just benefits you to be like in control most of the time.
And it is difficult for this reason, which is Elder Cruz, I mean, a lot of his game is pressure, but sometimes the way that people capitalize off your pressure is they use that against you, and they use that as like a means of moving you, so that when you pressure in, they kind of offset you and then attack your leg. This was one where it was a very good in-between transition, and I was just kind of like, yo, he just caught him. And I mean, Elder, it's so weird with him too, which is that you could be on your game 97%.
Yeah.
And then you have that 3% slip up and it fucks you. And it's like, man, his work is so consistent.
That was like Dorsey was just like didn't slip up. It was like his game was similar, just very high pressure, high pace. And it looked like he just had, great balance and seemed to have like a great sense of his good game plan. And he just stuck to it and didn't make any mistakes.
He's part of what Team Lloyd Irvin. They're out on the East Coast. I want to say Washington, D.C.-ish, Virginia area. Okay. And they're known for a certain type of skill that is maybe not always the most celebrated, but they're very consistent on being good.
Gotcha.
And he seems to fit that mold where it's athletic, but very aware of how to utilize their body. So some of them take it as
like just great hips and just great motion, and like that, the ending still being able to sort of like just flip over him and not end up getting caught in anything either. Like, man, it was pretty impressive.
And I feel like this is, all things considered, a way more civilized version of it, because yesterday felt like a zoo comparatively.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, it takes a minute, because only in the prelims can you see somebody get like completely suplexed out, and then you look out and you go, well, we should stop. Right? And then even when I'm conflicted, I'm like, well, it's our friend. And like, if Mason did it, I'd probably be like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, nah.
Stop it. Yeah.
So again, it's that hard to define middle ground.
Right.
But I would tell you is just, I always feel like we're not quite the sport. Whenever I see that stuff, I go like, this just feels fucking weird.
It just feels a little, like not professionally.
I don't know how to translate it. I just don't know how to tell someone like, hey, watch my sport, and then see that happen and go,
and then for them to go like, oh, what happened there?
Like I'm not really aware, man. I'm not even sure. But at the same point, it's hard to say that. A couple questions. I'm going to go back to questions to you. Can you go over which big names have lost so far? I mean, everybody who you didn't see on the podium lost. So I'm going to just say that's probably the easiest way to go over that. Nicky once again proves that silver medal belongs with B team yet again. What a Chad.
They're like the most hated ever in combat sports, I feel.
Following his big brother, which, by the way, not his actual big brother, Craig. Gordon Ryan, his big brother, is trailed. That's a very interesting comment. So, of course, the reason why they're called B team, Danaher Death Squad, they broke off from them. The idea is they'd always be like, well, they're the like second best guys. They're the B team. They're like, okay, cool, we're gonna use that.
Yeah, they took that.
And they took that, and now it's their marketing.
Yeah.
And because Craig has a great sense of humor about himself, he's always like, second place again, and he does take second place in a lot of tournaments. But at the same point, it's like he still will smash everybody else.
Yeah.
And he is now Alexander Volkanovski's grappling coach.
Oh, cool.
To the point where when it looked like it was a wrap with Ortega and him, and he got that guillotine, most of us would have been cooked. But because Craig Jones was his coach, I was kind of like, I think he's going to get out.
Wow, yeah.
And then he did, and you look at it and you go, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, yes, in that regard, I think this person is slightly facetious, but I will say, yes, he did take second place. So factually, that it did happen.
It did hold up,
I missed your interview with O'Flanagan on the channel. He's one of my faves. I got to check it out. You actually need to. It's one of my favorite interviews, and he actually, there's this really good guy. He's over in Europe, and I've seen his interviews, and like me, he actually, but like at a professional level, he's catching people with the Boston Crabs as well.
Wow.
But like he has other tricks. That's my trick. And I was like, yeah, you've won some stuff. Let's do an interview. And we do the interview, and we're comparing notes in there. And then all of a sudden, I tell him, I'm like, hey, I'm doing the throw at the end. I go, hey, if you guys ever want to watch my show, you can do this. We also do our segment where athletes come on and roast my competition footage. And he's like, oh, I want to do that segment. Like, we do the interview for an hour, and then he goes, I want to do that segment. I was like, oh, normally I got to ask you guys to do this one, but I'll have it. It's not a problem. Yeah. Somebody also asked, was Josh Sinceros or Kennedy Cobrinha's son? Yeah, I know who he is. Was he there? I didn't see them, but I also was surprised when I saw people in the audience. Full disclosure, there are some people when I saw them, I was like, oh, I didn't know that person's there. And I wasn't scanning the audience. There was one point where somebody said, look what's happening in the background. And I legitimately said, I can't, because if I do that, I'm not going to watch the match. Yeah. So, and it was a very funny thing they were pointing out. I was like, I can't, I'm like, I got to watch this right here. So they may have been there, but I didn't see them. So I do not think they were. Having said this, you've seen now stuff on the ADCC side, and you've thought about competing more and more. Would you consider competing at ADCC events?
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, okay. That'd be super cool. Okay. And as long as I know that you can just keep going out of bounds.
Well, here's what I think maybe the offset is this. Yeah. I think the idea is if you go out of bounds, you better do something fucking cool.
Right. Yeah.
And so as long as
some big slam or something.
As long as you're out and they're about to like penalize you, I think the first thing you have to do is be like, shit, I gotta dump this dude on his head. Driver, yeah. And then they're like, hey, you know what? Let this guy play through.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll definitely compete in the West Coast one. Do we know when it'll be? There's not a set date.
March-ish, February, March, I assume.
Why are they so far apart?
Because they travel over.
Yeah.
So what they do is essentially, because it's got the world element to it.
Yeah.
Our trials are now, so it's big to us. But then there's one in South Africa. There's one in like Europe. There's one in Asia. So they're putting them on, and we get 2 stabs at it. And I think almost everybody has at least one version of a thing. So you do that math.
Yeah.
And how long these things take together. Now they're also doing the opens. So I wanted to define the difference for you because I think initially when we were talking, I was like, oh, you should do the ADCC Open. And you're like, maybe, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. It's still relatively young in your experience for this. Uh-huh. And then I think the other day, I think I had heard you talk with Milton, and out of the corner of my ear, you were like, yeah, I'm thinking about the ADCC one. And I was like, no, things change. Hold on. It's not the Open.
Yeah.
Open different. Open is obviously open to everybody.
Yeah.
That is its own thing. I think you would do well in both.
Yeah.
But the way I advertised it, I was like, oh, there's an intermediate.
Open first. Yeah.
Well, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because I think you see now where, for your particular skill set, it is strategized where you could probably do well if you do certain things well.
Right.
The hard part is just the way I had advertised it to you. I was like, you know what, dude?
Yeah, I
do the Open.
Do you have to qualify for the trials?
No.
You can just show up at the trials.
You can just show up.
You cannot? Or
you can.
You can. Oh, okay. Cool.
We get randos all the time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And like there was one dude in a singlet. And
is that allowed?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's funny. Yeah, and you can go shirtless, you go rash guard.
You go rash guard, no rash guard. Spat. Somebody showed up in a somebody did pretty well in a basketball jersey as well.
But wouldn't that be too loose for regulation?
You don't wear t-shirts.
Really? That's weird.
It's everything, dude. Huh. It and
body paint.
Hold on, I'm trying to think. You know what's so weird is I just love the fact that you're telling me this, and I go, I gotta think about that, man, because I want to flat out give you a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
But it's problematic when I go. Maybe. No, somebody has shown up in the gi.
Oh, that's so dumb, right?
They can't grab it though.
No one, they can't grab it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, because you can only grab your own clothing, and so they could they do gi chokes and stuff with their own gi?
I don't remember. I think I don't think so. So
you couldn't do like an Ezekiel or something like that?
You could do a no-gi Ezekiel. We saw
But you couldn't do like grab the sleeve.
I gotta go double check. I don't think you can. I just remembered reading the rules one day, and I go, "Why the fuck would you wear a gi then?" But I think they want attention when they do that.
Yeah.
So you just kind of look at like there's I want to say, and I was mentioning this yesterday at 2017 ADCC trials. I was out here photographing, and this dude showed up in a gi, full gi. They're doing the rules meeting. And they're like, and this is how you do this. This is how you do this. And at the end of the all of us are like, I don't think that dude's okay. Like he showed up in a gi, which is already kind of like,
Yeah.
Did you get that? And then that was the first time I like looked around. I was like, can you do that? And they're like, you can. I go, why would you do that?
Could you wear shoes, wrestling shoes?
I wouldn't suggest it.
You can?
You can.
Could you wear like work boots? like if you could wear anything, like just brand new work boots, like you're not getting heel hooked in cowboy boots, right?
You know,
maybe you are, but maybe it's like if it's you cinch them
it's
real
reinforced
tight.
that you won't get any.
Like no, you gotta twist like leather too. You know, like that. What are we thinking, Matt?
You know, honestly, I've seen my man here in a promotional photo with a bolo.
Yeah.
So I think you wouldn't be far off from cowboy boots somewhere in your experience.
Yeah.
But yes, I would say everybody has a different strategy that should work for them. So that dude who was wearing the jersey, I think it worked out for him this week. There was one dude who wore just like a tank top that had a cat on it. Catman did really well too.
Catman.
I mean, here's the sad part because he made it to the semifinals.
Wow. Catman.
Because we call it, here's the problem is these things are so long that the quickest way to re-reference, especially the randos, because they're not randos to somebody, they're randos to me.
Yeah, right.
And then when they're like, "Oh, you didn't know that's Alex Garcia," and you're like, "No, he's Catman, bro.
He's Catman.
He's a sweetheart. I liked him. I liked what he did."
You got to brand yourself like that, I guess. If you're nobody.
I mean, these people are more than nobodies.
Yeah.
But to me,
but no one knows you yet. Yeah.
It just takes me a minute, and like I said, every time new young people show up, I'm like, "Who are you? What's your name?
Right.
What do you do?" All right. Oh, you're very good. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure those two things were defined. Having said that, when they do come out, I did notice for these trials, they did have an open the day before. So it was Friday open, Saturday trials day one.
Well, I looked
Sunday.
at that guy Dorsey's Instagram, and it said, I guess he competed in the open.
On Friday?
Let me look again. But
Or was that a previous open? Because there's been a lot of
previous
opens.
Open, yeah.
So,
but he got silver at. He posted it. He got silver at the open, but he got gold at the trials.
Hold on.
Which is crazy, right?
I want to point out, maybe I picked the wrong profession for you to do on this show. Clearly, I should be making you head of research on this show because you were not engaged at any point, but the fact that you researched it so quickly, I was always like, you did?
Yeah.
When was I not looking at this?
He looked like a wrestler I recognized, but I don't know if I don't know. I think he might have wrestled at some point, but
it takes a second where you kind of,
Oh, this was in August. Yeah, I got second at an open in Arizona.
That's dope.
Yeah. Crazy though that you would think the trials would be more competitive.
I mean,
maybe he just got better.
It's pretty dope to be able to be like,
yeah,
fuck, I got silver at an
just
open.
go win.
Oh, well, got gold at the actual trials, going to ADCC, our Olympics, no big deal.
Yeah.
Couple last notes here. Will Cole Abate do trials? Cole Abate is like this wonder kid out of AOJ. I don't know if he has to. I think he's interesting enough to get an invite. So all the trials, everybody goes, wins except for the women because weird stuff. But if they win the West Coast trials, they go. Then there's just weird Bachelor-esque kind of, hey, here's a rose. You go to ADCC. So you're going to get an open invite.
Right.
Do you guys have that in wrestling? Do you get open invites?
So like for the like recently for the World Championships, so you get to you don't have to fight your way through the trials if you won a gold medal in the Worlds or the Olympics in the previous year. So if you're Olympic or gold medalist in the previous like outing, you just have to do the best 2 of 3 of the person who wins the U.S. trials. So like let's say the U.S. Open or the U.S. trials, whoever wins gets a chance to face whoever the previous reigning champion was. and then they do a best 2 out of 3. But like last year, for example, or this year, Jordan Burroughs was the reigning champ, like one of the greatest American wrestler ever. And this guy, Chance Marsteller, comes in after like not really competing internationally at all for the last few years, and then wins the trials and then beats Burroughs 2 out of 3. And he didn't do a super great at the World Championships, but kind of crazy that, you could be the best and you just, you lose because,
So having said that, do you like that process?
I do, yeah. I mean, it's just like dog eat dog. Like you have to show up every day, every time. Like it's kind of cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm of many minds of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like to know if I was like, well, if I was invited to the dance, I want to keep getting invited. So.
Yeah.
Too bad I'm a gold medalist.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy though. Yeah. You think about it, and he's like, historically best wrestler in the world at some point in time, and like he Olympic gold medalist. I think 6 gold world medals, like insane. But then he just didn't make it that year, like, and he had to stay home. Like that's crazy.
But
he's an alternate. He's a backup.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't even. Man, I wonder.
Or when guys are in the same weight, like there was one year David Taylor now is considered like pound for pound one of the best in the world, and there was one year where he lost to Burroughs for the trials, and he didn't go. Like it's just it's what it is.
Okay. Because the other reason why it's so, I'm sure, foreign for you in this perspective to understand is when they're like, and Mason, I like you.
Yeah, right.
You
it's
go.
like, oh, you bring us some attention, or you're like,
well,
you're good.
For the most part, they do invites to people who deserve it.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the sad part, and I'm sure you know this from the high level you have to practice at to compete at a high level. Injuries happen.
Yeah, that's true.
So then as a result, sometimes they get all the way to the end and they're like, hey, what are you doing? And then there's somebody that you're like, man, I really hope they pick this person.
Right.
So that's why they have a third place. You have to fight for third place here.
Okay.
Because what they end up doing is they go, okay, somebody got injured. We're going to go to the second place at East Coast Trials for the American bid. So it's very fucking confusing.
Or what? I guess it also makes sense. Like, what if someone's injured for the trials, but then they're healthy by the time the actual competition comes around? That's a real shame if they don't get invited just simply because they were injured at the time.
A lot of it, what it comes down to is, I want to see how X does against Y. And if there's a compelling enough reason, we'll give them the invites. There's only a handful of invites, so it's kind of a mix of let's see what we can do. But to me, when I ever explain this to a wrestler where I'm like, let's just say someone gave it to you, I always like that look of like, but why would they give it to you? Like you're supposed to fight for it.
Well, they do that in the NCAA tournament though. Is like they have 32 man bracket at nationals, but the 33rd spot gets a pigtail in, and if you get a pigtail, it's like an at-large bid. So it's like if you don't qualify through your divisions, then you get an at-large bid to go to the national tournament and do like a pigtail into the bracket. But then if you win, you face the number 1 guy in the country. Right away.
Yeah.
Every place is seeded. Like you ranked 1 through 32 or 33 at the tournament. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of why, even though you're in the third place match, you kind of are fighting for life.
Yeah.
Like you're still in that thing like, God damn it, I gotta show up because this could be my bid.
Ticket, yeah.
So it does add a little bit of urgency to it that I think is very nice. The one thing that I think you have in terms of wrestling that we don't in jiu-jitsu, which is the prestige of doing it. Like you could basically say, this is what this means, and this is why you have to compete, and everybody in wrestling falls rank in line and goes, yes. We're starting to develop that with ADCC where it's like, hey, you better come compete at this. And so there's this kind of development where now they're saying, hey, if you compete at more opens, maybe you get a better seed because we've seen you more. And so they're trying to shoehorn that in there. Yeah. But at the same point, if Nicky Ryan calls and is like, hey, I would be interested in taking that seed, they're like, so forget the open people. Nicky Ryan's going. Because he did take second. He did take second.
Right. So. And he is historically more well-known. He's more maybe interesting.
He makes for compelling matchups here. And then it said, okay, will Cole Abate do trials? So we answered that one. Who looked the best today? I was going to say, Nicky was on a tear. He looked really, really good. But in terms of people who won, Couch is undeniable. I'll go with that. Also Enriquez. Alex Enriquez. I think pound for pound, she's so fucking great. And it's just like, dude, I would love to see her go far. She is, every time I see her make a small mistake somewhere, the next time she's cleaning it up. Like the next time I've seen her make those improvements. So let's just say, for lack of better terms, Big Dan's also very impressive. But Big Dan, unfortunately, is like so impressive that you go, it's kind of boring. So good, man. You're in the big boy division.
Yeah.
That I'm like, yeah, you're working with Danaher and Gordon. You're just really good, man. So, but I will say, for my money, in terms of excitement, I thought Enriquez looked really, really good. And everybody else, we got some surprises in there as well. And Amanda Leve looked very solid throughout the competition as well. So I'll give her props as well. All right, sir, I will tell you, I will keep you up to date on those things. I will let you know when that is happening. But what I want to do right now is I want to give you the opportunity, that is the camera over there, plug where people can take your classes or even potentially take privates if you are offering, sir.
Yeah. If you're in the LA area, I do privates here at Milton Aruelas Academy, and then I do them at Gooch Training Academy as well. If you ever want to come to Wednesday classes here or Tuesday classes over there, you can stop by. You can find me on Instagram at Mason Eaglin. Last name is Eaglin. That's been pretty much it.
Well, that's going to do it for Mason. I'm going to close this bitch up, but I'll say bye to you off air in a second here, sir. Mason, also quality human being. Excellent performer as well outside of wrestling. But here at the gym, he has been a welcome presence and has been teaching us very, very helpful things. I've seen a lot of our guys improve just by him giving some excellent pointers. So a very, very good instructor. And I think you guys would do well to get privates with him. But if you're my friend, don't take privates with him, because I'm still trying to beat my friends. If you are not my friend, you can go take classes with them, because then it's way more manageable. But Mason, I'll see you in a second. I'm going to close this up and then we will be done. I want to tell you guys, look at this. You can tell Octavio is going to switch this camera right on over to me. That's how you know this is going to be a professional end to a show. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in all weekend. All weekend, you guys were here with us. That meant yesterday we started at 6 a.m. Today is 6 a.m. We have been putting in the time. So before we land this bird, I want to tell you a few things. We have some episodes that is coming up, and I want to make sure that you guys know what those episodes are. In the next few days on the show, you will see the following interviews. If you haven't seen them already, you will see JB Beckloff from B Team. You will see Mickey Valtieri. No, that one's already alive. You will see Johnny Vasquez, a fighter out here in Southern California. And of course, you can go see my recent interviews with Diego Perez, an MMA fighter, Bobby Winter, who was famous for going outside the mats and beat the shit out of AJ Agazarm. Love that. Dan Martinez, a former combat jiu-jitsu world champion, and much, much more. Also, coming up, JJ Wilson back on the show. Very excited to have him. Love that guy. He is a SoCal treasure and has been fighting in Bellator MMA. You'll also see Dylan Budka of the UFC and Chelsea. I'm so sorry. Taking me a second here. Chelsea, I forget your last name. What the fuck is the last name of Chelsea? Anyway, you can go check out that one. Chelsea Connor. That's what I was thinking. She is also an LFA fighter. Also, want to point this out. Cody Steele recently on the show. Alex Enriquez will probably be back, but go check out my last interview with her. Chris Wojcik recently on the show. All right, let's get to some plugs. If you guys like and want to support the show, all you have to do is go over to hi.page/grappling hour. Actually, let's do the branding here. Bam! If you like this show, you can go on over to hi.page/grappling hour. You can give us some support by doing the following. You can go there. You can pay $5 a month. You can see my interviews 30 days before anybody else. That means you get a pocket of time where you see these interviews. The interviews I've already talked about, all on air for those folks. But for you guys, you got to wait for the YouTube exclusives 30 days after that. Then, if you want to pay a few extra dollars more, you can check out our premium edition. On premium, you get the following. You not only get extra mini-sodes, where a podcast where we talk about steroids or anything special or in the ether of the jiu-jitsu community, but you can also check out tape studies that we do with the athletes where we break down their matches or their fights. We've done those as well. And you can also see people roasting my competition footage, which is pretty funny. Because, I mean, some of the things I do, I think they're pretty dumb. So Usually we get some good laughs out of that. All right, you guys, I think that is going to do it for us here at the show. Don't forget, new episodes are going to be coming out almost immediately. So we're going to be reaching out to a number of the folks that won this weekend. So don't be surprised if you see some of the people that we were talking about on this very broadcast very soon on the show. And it also says, let's all remember Andrew Tackett submitted Big Dan somehow. Yes, you are correct in that. Let us not forget that. Love and respect to our good friend Andrew Tackett, the big dragon slayer. That's going to do it for us, you guys. It has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.